Good evening, everyone. This is Abby De Molina, Chair of the Nantucket Planning and Economic Development Commission. We are meeting today, February 17th at 5 p.m. in Zoom fashion. And the first thing we will do is roll call, so please respond affirmatively when I call your name. Dave Iverson,
Here.
Joe Topham,
Here.
Nat Lowell,
Here.
Christina Jellamy,
Here.
John Kitchener,
Here.
Brooke Moore,
Here.
Bert Johnson,
Here.
Hillary Rayport,
Here.
Liza Hatton,
Here.
Mike Mazzarelli,
Here.
and Abby DeLina, I am here. All right, we will move on to public comment for items not on the agenda. We will be using the select board established protocol for public comment, limiting comments to 3 minutes or less, and not engaging in substantive deliberation, just taking comments for subsequent future action. Do we have any public comment? Okay. All right, moving on to, sorry, I lost my agenda. I think moving on to the next item on the agenda, is it announcements?
Yes.
All right, so, oh, sorry, I didn't ask for approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion by John, who seconded?
Mike.
Okay, motion by John, second by Mike. All right, Bert,
Yes. What?
Mike,
Aye.
Brooke,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Christina,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
Hillary,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Okay, sorry, I messed up the order of the agenda. Moving on, the next item is announcements. The first one, I think, Mike, I will kick it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not too much of an update for the public informational session for the Milestone Rotary and intersection of Milestone Road and Overdeer Farm Road intersection. We did have what's called an over-the-shoulder meeting with the chair of the Historical Commission and with the preservation planner to talk about any issues that would need to be addressed before going to the public informational meeting. Those comments are being incorporated, and we're waiting on a date to be selected for the public informational meeting.
We have a question from Hillary.
Yes, thank you very much. I was just wondering, is there I had asked back in the fall about a project page so that everyone on our commission and members of the public could follow along with the plans, and I'd asked to see the plans. And there had been some discussion about the benefit of sharing the plans with this commission prior to the public meeting and also maintaining a project page. Is there a project page there? Is there a place where we can see the plans, or will they be brought to this commission?
Madam Chair, I think that the project descriptions within the long range plan, that's about as much as we've developed so far. The materials have been developed by Mass DOT and their consultant Fuss and O'Neill. Aren't ready to be made public just yet. It's still kind of a work in progress, pre-25 conceptual design. Like I said, it's an over the shoulder stage. And we did have a meeting with the historical commission chair and preservation planner to identify some small aesthetic things we wanted to make sure that were incorporated into the plan, as well as meet with I think I neglected to say this, but meet with the land bank staff to kind of review any issues related to their concerns. So there should be some more information pushed out and made publicly available for review. What's available now just isn't ready for to be posted on a project website just yet, because we don't have a timeline just yet, and we don't have what we would consider to be a conceptual plan ready for public review.
Moving on in the announcements. Um, Leslie, I didn't know if you wanted to take the next two.
Sure. There's a link in the announcements on your agenda page to the NP and EDC video. I don't know if you all have had a chance to view that yet, but it's just an explanatory video of, who we are, what we do, and why, we're a regional planning agency. So that's that. Everyone take a look. And then we just wanted to send you some reminders about particularly email and making sure not to, inadvertently stray into an open meeting law violation with talking with multiple commission members or starting a rolling meeting, that kind of thing. So you may want to just refresh on that. Same thing with the code of conduct that I think you all have pledged to follow, just a reminder that that does exist. And the procedure for contacting town council. Individual board, committee, and commission members should not be reaching directly out to town council. You should go through the chair. She and I will talk about it, and then the town manager has to approve access. So there is a procedure, and everyone just needs to be vigilant about following that. So that was it.
Okay, great. Next item on the agenda was the minutes, and Leslie, I believe you had something you wanted to add about this as well.
Sure. So for the minutes, you have 3 sets, December 11th, December 15th, and January 6th. I just want to remind you all that the minutes do have certain open meeting law requirements, detailing the nature of the discussion, the motions, the votes that were taken, but they don't need to be a meeting transcript, if you will. And, our staff at Plus has to do minutes for multiple boards, committees, and commissions. And, there is a time commitment to doing minutes, and they are under a lot of pressure. So it's not just the planning commission. So I just wanted to remind you all that, these minutes are advisory or for an advisory commission, and they're maybe a little more bare bones than others, but I think they do meet the requirements of the open meeting law.
There's a question by Hillary.
Yeah, hi. It's more of a comment about the minutes. So I did request some more detail in the December 15th minutes. I actually had to go back and rewatch the meeting in order to refresh my memory about what happened. I found the minutes to be so vague as to not actually convey, useful information about what happened in the meeting. I do rely on the minutes to remember what we talked about. And I do think that minutes play a function in our community about allowing people to follow along with the commission to understand why the commission makes its decisions. So I know the staff is busy and has a lot to do. So I provided specific edits. I typed them up. I provided the edits. I put them in a Word document. And I would like those edits to be shared with the commission. I actually provided them on Thursday, so I was a little surprised that they weren't circulated. But I would like to make a formal request that our minutes include enough detail that we can understand what we talked about, refresh our memory, and also remember to follow up on stuff that we talked about, which is important and was included in those minutes.
Christina?
Thank you. I had a point of clarification as far as the executive session minutes and how.
Oh, yeah. Actually, before you say that, Leslie, I think we did want to talk about there is a specific process for that. And I'm sorry, Christina, I know you had mentioned that. So she'll talk about the process, but just so people know, normally the way it works is if you have an executive session, you approve the minutes at the next executive session, but we don't know when our next executive session is, so we can circulate the minutes sooner. And Leslie, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Well, we can add an executive session to an upcoming agenda and just do that at the beginning. So that way we can dispose of those minutes. But the executive session minutes do need to be approved in executive session first.
Thank you.
Brooke?
And I also believe that the body has to vote to release executive session minutes as a separate motion. approving them is one thing, but releasing them publicly is a second item. And typically it's only when the matter discussed in executive session has been resolved completely, or so just because they're approved does not mean they're released necessarily. That requires a separate vote, as I understand it.
All right, thank you. All right, so does anybody want to make a motion?
Point of order, are there going to be edits from Hillary's comments at all? Are those going to be taken into consideration?
I guess it depends on what the motion is.
Um,
Mike,
I reviewed the minutes and I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Mike, on your motion?
Aye.
Bert,
Aye.
Brooke,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Christina,
nay.
John,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
Hillary.
Is the motion to approve all the minutes, or are we only doing the December 15th minutes?
I believe the motion was to approve all the minutes. Is that correct, Mike? Yes.
Okay. My vote is no.
Okay. Joe?
I'm going to say yes to December 11th, December 15th, but I was not at the January 6th meeting.
And the chair votes aye. All right, thank you. Okay, next item, we have a presentation on the Massachusetts Integrated Land Use Strategy, MILNUS, and Kurt Gardner, the Assistant Secretary for Environmental Policy, Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. It's quite the mouthful. Thank you, Kurt. I will turn it over to you, but thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time this evening. As mentioned, want to speak briefly about the integrated land use strategy, important initiative underway at the Commonwealth. I should mention that hopefully you received a summary of the integrated land use strategy and a link to a recorded version of this, about a half an hour long PowerPoint narrated by myself that explains what this is in a lot more detail than I'm going to cover tonight because I understand you have a crowded agenda. So what are we up to? The state is undertaking proactive land use planning, the same kind of planning we encourage cities and towns and regional planning agencies to do. We have many ambitious goals for future land use. To name a few, 222,000 housing units by 2035, conservation of 40% of the Commonwealth by 2050, and the siting of 27 gigawatts of solar, all of which and many other things in state government's goals address land use. And so we are working now to produce a plan that is an ability to accomplish all of those things in a way that proactively addresses them rather than address potential conflict later as we're looking to achieve all of those goals. And we have we've contracted with the regional planning agencies to engage in part of this process. So what we want to do tonight, let you know we're up to this, set the stage for future engagement. There's a couple of other future phases that are intended. One that we're calling an open house, where we would present data that we are utilizing to help us make decisions about future land use, talk about the weighting and the approach that we're taking to this. That's the first phase. And then that would be sometime in the April timeframe. And then in the May or June timeframe, want to come back to the 13 regional planning agencies and their constituent communities. Well, in this case, one and the same, more or less. But really explain what the draft outcome of that land use planning effort is. And so we are looking for, in future conversations, feedback on the type of data we're using to prioritize land for conservation, the kind of data we're utilizing to encourage housing production or to the economic development or energy siting. And I do realize in talking to Nantucket, we're talking about a different circumstance that would be present in most other places in the Commonwealth. And you just got to say that and acknowledge it. But nonetheless, wanted to give this RPA and the community a chance to know that we're involved in this, know that there's opportunities for engagement in this process, and that we will be looking to produce a data-driven GIS tool and analysis, a strategy by which the Commonwealth, the administration is looking to accomplish a whole bunch of important land use goals that are outlined in its economic development plan, housing plan, and other documents. And so the idea was for you to have a chance to look at materials in advance and really to give you an opportunity to ask me questions about what the initiative is up to, and really to set the stage, as I said, for future more detailed conversation. And recognizing that you have a lot to do tonight, I'm going to stop there and invite question or comment on the integrated land use strategy and the materials that you had opportunity to look at.
Madam Chair? Is Abby there?
Perhaps I don't know if it's best. I'm happy to answer questions if that's what you have in mind. Or
no, I'm just gonna say this is Brooke Moore. I'm the select board representative for the NP&EDC, and I just want to say I appreciate the early outreach. I think some of our planning staff will tell you that sometimes statewide initiatives have unintended consequences on Nantucket that we would very much appreciate being able to voice concerns about. I think the ADU bylaw and the housing initiative is a really good example of it really messed things up for us that we had already been doing that. And so I just want to be really careful, I think, about conservation land. We are already 60% in conservation, so we're far beyond the state's goal. So I just would request that the opportunity for a unique community like the islands have a special voice in this process before policy is established. Thank you.
Yeah, makes sense.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, Kurt. That was definitely that was short and sweet, but it was great. And for everyone, if you weren't aware, his detailed presentation is in the packet, and so it is out there. If people have other questions, anything, reach out to myself or Mike, and we can let Kurt know, answer any of those questions, keep the lines of communication open. But Kurt, we really do appreciate you taking the time to come and give us a very quick, high-level overview. So thank you.
Yeah, I really wanted to keep my talking points quick and give you a chance for question or comment, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome, thank you. Christina?
Just one thing, you talked about a link to a video or your half-hour presentation. I didn't see that in the thing, but maybe if Abby, somebody could distribute that to us, that would be great.
Awesome. Yeah, I will. I think Megan can send it out after the meeting. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Next,
thank you all.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you, Kurt.
Next item on the agenda is Mike, I believe it's your transportation program, your overview. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes, Madam Chair. Just want to make sure I'm sharing the correct screen.
Yes, it's your transportation program manager update, and then it says travel demand forecast model.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And we'll try to keep this succinct as well. We have Sahir Murthy from TrafInfo, who is our consultant for developing the travel demand forecast model. So he'll be running through some high-level slides that we used as a bit of a kickoff. I must say that the fun presentations will be later this spring and early summer when we have the base model developed. What Sahir is here to do is give you some of the methodologies that we're using to develop that model. And the funding for the model, Madam Chair, was appropriated by town meeting in 2019. And we're doing this in partnership with the Boston region. The CTPS is the name of the agency. And hopefully we can use this tool to assess capital projects and track our performance measures and goals going forward. But I'll let Sudhir get into it, and I'll kind of flip the slides. So Sudhir, just let me know when you want me to change the slides for you.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Mike. And hello, everyone. My name is Sudhir Murthy with TrafInfo. We are glad to have got this opportunity to develop the travel demand forecasting model for Nantucket. Next slide, please. The overall goal of this is to provide the town with a tool so that you will be able to assess, local and regional plans, be they highway plans or general land use plans, any changes to the land use that you're looking at, or even specific development projects. And the way that this tool will help is to try to assess what are the impacts resulting from these changes and plans in terms of volume, in terms of vehicle miles traveled, and also in terms of air quality and greenhouse gas emissions. This model that we have selected is sensitive enough to help the town reach the goals of reducing single occupant vehicles, through, testing. It's a tool, and it'll allow the town to test various strategies and assess if they would help towards the goal of reducing single occupant vehicles, as well as how can we encourage a greater use of bike and walk, transit, or other high occupancy vehicle modes. Next slide, please. So there are two approaches to it. One is we could have started from scratch and developed the model. What we decided to do was to leverage what the state had already developed. So as Mike mentioned, the Boston MPO staff, the Central Transportation Planning staff, they also have a contract with Mass DOT Planning to develop the statewide model. And it is a really sophisticated model that we have been working with for the past couple of years. And so what our approach was to take that model, its underlying assumptions and user interfaces, but then instead of using the entire statewide data set, use Nantucket, but have the same model running through it. So we would essentially start off with a model out of the gate, but then spend more time refining it as opposed to starting it from scratch. So it has a well-developed user interface. It has a ton of reporting features that would help down the road. The forecast is developed at the household level. And so it simulates each household in terms of household size, the number of kids, number of elderly people, number of workers in the household. So it's a fairly detailed model. It allows you to incorporate transit and park and ride, which we have, ride sharing in terms of this transportation network, TNCs they call. Work from home is also available. And then it also does estimate walk trips and bike trips. Next slide, please. So we are just at a very high level. What we wanted to give you an idea of what are the different tasks in this. So we've already extracted the model from the statewide model, and we have a working travel demand forecasting model, but we have to make some updates. And so there are a few categories of updates that we have planned for. And so, like Mike mentioned, sometime in June, we would have the base model. That's when you will see it will be a little bit more interesting. And then we will get into assessing the plan and scenarios, as well as helping with the travel demand management strategies, as well as assisting the town in learning about this tool and also providing some kind of guidance to use this model. So, next slide, please. I mentioned to you that there are various updates that we are making to make it more sensitive to Nantucket. These things are not available in the statewide model, and it doesn't need to be because they have constructed that model for a different purpose. So what we are doing is adding additional highway network We got a lot of help from Mike and Chuck on this in trying to identify which of these are important. We are going to add the regional transit network that is not currently in the statewide model. Some special generators, perhaps the airport. There are some industrial uses near the airport that might need special attention, as well as create additional scenarios. Right now, the statewide model only does a base year of 2019 and a future year of 2050. We will create intermediate years as well to help assess those years as well. We are already developed some of the we've already developed the traffic analysis zone updates, and we have already sent it over to the state for them to review and let us know if that could be incorporated into the future versions of the statewide model. And the other improvements that we're looking to do is better reflect the ferry service back and forth from the island, and more importantly, the seasonality. The model, the statewide model is essentially constructed for an average day in a year. What we would like to do is to create a summer and an off-peak model. And a lot of the data Mike has provided is starting to give us a really nice understanding of the seasonality on the island. And we want to have a model that would allow for both off-peak and summer peak. Next slide, please. So how would this model be used? The most common one is generating future traffic volumes. These can be then used to estimate intersection level volumes that then can be used as part of other software to do traffic analysis like Synchro, you may have heard, do level of service, signal timing, and other things. It can be used to assess any proposed development in terms of how much volume gets changed, what is the impact on vehicle miles traveled, and air quality. As you heard, because it has transit, rideshare, park and ride, walk, bike, you can assess various travel demand strategies. And then also, trying different things at a pretty high level, you can also use this tool to see what measures would allow the town to reach the LRTP goals of improving reliability, accessibility, and safety. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Sudhir.
And please, I will hand it back to you.
Thank you, Sudhir. Madam Chair, just to let you know, as Sudhir mentioned, a good demonstration of the base model will be ready by June. And then it might be a good time to have a joint meeting with the select board to talk about different scenarios that they'd like to utilize as far as growth rates. A lot of good work has been done to help inform this process. There was a build-out analysis that was completed by Weston Sampson that y'all reviewed last year. We're trying to get set here those GIS files so we can actually incorporate what our maximum build-out would be, and you can incorporate it into these threshold bands of time to see how, if under different scenarios with the traffic impacts will be for these different time bands that go out to 2045, 2050, based on what our zoning would allow, and then tweak the mode shift. The town does have a mode shift, and Brooks aware of this, a mode shift goal to get it down from, we're close to 80% now of single occupancy vehicles. We want to get that down closer to 66 or 60%. So this model will help us see what kind of growth spatially needs to happen for that to happen, and then what the traffic impacts of that mode shift would be on traffic on the island. So that'll be the fun part of this later this year, but we're happy to answer any questions about how this early stage, about how we're developing and the approach that we've taken on this model development.
I just have a comment and then we have a question. I think, Mike, your idea is a really good one of us having a joint meeting with the select board. I guess it sounds like in the June, July timeframe. I think we'll look at scheduling and look to schedule something with the select board so that we can do that. And it looks like Hillary has a question as well.
Yes, thank you. So I just, so is, Mike, is this something that we would use instead of hiring a traffic consultant to do a traffic study? If, a new development was planned for a certain area and we wanted to understand how it would impact the volume or the delays of various intersections, would we then be able to do that in-house with this model?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'm going to lean on Sid here to help me out with that. I'm going to say yes is the short answer, and this will be in partnership with the applicant's traffic consultant. They'll use this model to help inform their impact analysis. I don't think Sid here would write the traffic impact assessment study. I don't think he would write that, but he would help provide a lot of the data. And I guess ideally we'd have an ongoing contract with Sid here for future years to where he would assist to evaluate those different developments. But Sid here, was there anything that I missed with that explanation?
No, I think you covered it. I think it will depend upon the specific application. So there may be some where, because we are using a model that's fully developed with with very have easy to use user interfaces, there may be some situations where it can be done entirely in-house. There may be some where we would help as needed to generate the volumes that could be handed off to the developer's consultant to use. And so all applicants will be on a consistent basis going forward with this model.
Oh, okay. And just a couple follow-ups, just so I can understand how we might use this. Would we also be able to use this to make decisions about things like, does a roadway become one way, or do we even build a new connector road? Does this give us the power to inform those kinds of decisions?
Yes, yep, that's one of the traditional uses of this. It is simulating the number of lanes, the directions, and so you will be able to assess, if you were to add a new connection that Mike was talking about near the airport, or if you were to make any of the streets one way, what are the changes you would see in terms of traffic changes on other areas? And is it a good change or is it a bad change? That sort of thing. You will be able to use this, yes.
And so, Sudhir, it sounds like that would be part of the scenario development that we would work with the select board to figure out what are the scenarios that we would want to use the tool for. And so then we would develop those scenarios before the community presentation so that we would be able to show those different scenarios when it is presented publicly to the community, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
That's good.
All right. Sudhir, thank you so much. This was great, super helpful. We're looking forward to meeting with you again. And as I said, we'll look to coordinate with the select board to find a date that works. And we'll continue to work with you. And Mike, obviously, will be looking to you to be the point person on that. But thank you so much. And we really appreciate you taking the time.
No, thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity. And I look forward to working. Yes. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda, Mike, I will let you take it away.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Christina Mendoza, who's our new liaison with Mass DOT's Office of Transportation Planning, is here to help me with these slides. We do this every year about this time. We accept the statewide safety performance measures, and Christina's going to run through a few slides to kind of explain that and where we are now. But there are a couple of slides at the very end that I want to touch on based on our traffic safety action plan that you presented. It's not a PM1 measure, but I do want to touch on some of our regional performance measures that were in our traffic safety action plan. And then at the end, ask that you all take action to accept those. So Christina, I guess I'll hand it over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Mike, for the introduction. I appreciate it. As Mike mentioned, my name is Christina Mendoza. I'm with the Office of Transportation Planning at MassDOT, and today I'm going to provide a brief overview of MassDOT's Safety Performance Measure, PM1, for 2026. Next slide, please. So since MassDOT has presented on federal performance measures for the past few years, I know many of you are probably very familiar with this process. But just as a refresher, the federal performance measures regulations were passed in 2016, and they include three overarching categories. PM1 covers safety, which is what this presentation is going to focus on. PM2 covers pavement and bridge condition, and then PM3 is a catch-all category called system performance measures. And that includes improving the transportation system's efficiency and reducing congestion. So PM1 targets are to be adopted by MPOs every year by the end of February. And as always, although the numeric targets have been established following federal guidelines, MassDOT's overarching goal is 0 deaths. Next slide, please. So there are 5 required performance measures under federal PM1 safety target regulations. Required metrics for PM1 include the number of roadway fatalities, the number of serious injuries, the rate of roadway fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, or VMT, the rate of serious injuries per 100 million VMT, and the total number of non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. So these are expressed not as a 1-year target, but a 5-year rolling average target. So the statewide target put forth for 2026 is a 2022 to 2026 rolling average target for each of the 5 measures. Next slide, please. So the target setting process began with a trend line projection of the latest data that's available in July, because that's when the states are required to establish their targets. So as noted in years past, higher rates of speeding and decreased VMT in 2020, 2021, and 2022 meant that the Commonwealth safety numbers were moving in the wrong direction. In 2023, the trend reversed and there were significant decreases in fatalities and serious injuries, though fatalities did increase again in 2024. So the early data from 2025 shows an improvement over 2024. But taking these trends into account, MassDOT adopted a target for 2022 to 2026. So in addition to target setting, MassDOT also developed a 2024 to 2028 projection to see what the future might look like if the targets and trends here hold out. So you may recall that we did this last year as well. When setting the 2025 target, we provided a 2027 projection. So here we're going to provide a 2028 projection. So as noted, these targets were developed in the middle of 2025, so MassDOT had to estimate what a full year of 2025 data might look like. So to do so, MassDOT compared data from 2015 to 2024 to the year-to-date data, and we found that on average, 46% of annual fatalities occurred between January 1st and July 1st of each year. So to estimate 2025 annual fatalities, MassDOT divided the year-to-date number by 46%, and then assumed a 3% annual reduction in fatalities between 2025 and 2026. Then the actual performance for 2022 through 2024, plus the estimates for 2025 and 2026, were totaled and divided by 5, and this brings the 2022 to 2026 rolling average target to 357. If this 3% annual decrease continues, our projections show the 2028 5-year average will be 323. Now, when looking at the fatality rate, this represents the 5-year average fatalities divided by the 5-year average VMT. VMT for 2025 is estimated to be near pre-pandemic levels. And with the 2021, a year that had a high fatality rate outside of the 22 to 26 5-year window, the 5-year rolling fatality rate has decreased. Consequently, the 5-year average rate is projected to be 0.56 fatalities per 100 million VMT, and if this trend continues, the rate will be 0.50 in 2028. Next slide, please. So MassDOT followed the same methodology as it did with fatalities to estimate serious injuries for 2025. We also found that roughly 46% of the annual serious injuries occurred between January 1st and July 1st of each year. So using this formula, the 2022 to 2026 5-year average target is 2,562. If this trend of a 3% reduction in serious injuries were to continue, the 5-year average in 2028 will be 2,184. And for the serious injury rate, MassDOT used the same methodology as the fatality rate. The 5-year average serious injuries rate target is set to be 4.03 serious injuries per 100 million VMT. And if this trend continues, the rate for the 5-year rate in 2028 will be 3.3. Next slide, please. Non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries are events that involve people walking, biking, and rolling. This performance measure is tracked somewhat differently from the others, in that fatalities and serious injuries are combined. So these numbers have fluctuated in recent years. However, in 2024, the year-to-date data shows that these numbers may have peaked in 2023 and that the Commonwealth is now trending in the right direction. Following the previous methodology, MassDOT found that on average 45% of annual non-motorist fatalities and serious injuries occurred between January 1st and July 1st of each year. So the 2025 year-to-date number was divided by 45%, and then a 5% annual reduction was assumed to estimate the 2025 annual number. Please note that a 5% annual reduction is also assumed here based on the state's increased emphasis on protecting vulnerable road users. So this brings the 2022 to 2026 5-year target to 512. And if this decrease continues, the average will be 416 in 2028. Next slide, please. So the MPO is required, or TPO in this case, is required to endorse MassDOT's state targets or establish their own by the end of February 2026. As always, although numeric targets have been established following federal guidelines, I just want to reemphasize that MassDOT's overarching goal is always 0 deaths. That concludes the state side of the presentation. I know that Mike is also going to speak to specifically your regional data as well. So thank you all.
Thank you, Christina and Madam Chair. This is included in the report that I typically provide you before the meetings. I do track total annual crashes as well as crashes that happen in the summertime. The red line on the top graph shows the trend line, or it's the total line of total crashes during summer months. You can see that it's trending up, which is in the wrong direction. Same for the total crashes since 2021, when during the pandemic, when crashes were rather low. That trend's been steadily increasing the last few years, so that's trending in the wrong direction. I will say that the NP&ED did approve a goal in the Traffic Safety Action Plan of it's our Vision Zero goal, and it's to reduce fatal and serious injuries by half by 2030, and then by 75% by 2040, again with the ultimate goal of zero. The current 5-year average for fatal serious injuries is 4. So to get half of that, we need to get to 2. And so just so you know, as we do these presentations going forward in the future, I'll use this as a reference point to see whether we're actually hitting our goal, where we got these fatal and serious injuries into the green area to where we're achieving that goal by 2030, and then get down to perhaps 1 or 0 beyond 2030 into 2040. So with that, Madam Chair, as Christina mentions, the region's required to either establish their own targets or accept the statewide targets. So I would ask that you take action to accept the statewide PM1 traffic safety target as presented by MassDOT.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion to accept the statewide PM1 safety target as presented by MassDOT?
So moved.
Okay. I heard 2 people. Was it?
I made the motion, Abby.
Okay. Dave made the motion. Mike, did you second it?
Bert.
Oh, Bert. Okay. Dave made the motion, second by Bert. Okay. If we'll just call roll call. Dave on your motion.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Bert.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Brooke.
Aye.
Nat.
Aye.
Liza.
Aye.
Hillary.
Aye.
Christina.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Christina, for the presentation. This was really helpful. And thank you, Mike, for shepherding this along.
Problem.
Thank
There
you.
might be one more item for this. Madam Chair, just to the last bullet point there, there's a letter of support in the meeting packet. This is related to a build grant application. The NRTA, the Nantucket Regional Transit Authority, and MassDOT are partnering on a grant application for preliminary design of a new maintenance facility and we've been asked to provide a letter of support for that grant application. So I would ask that you take action to support the letter that's in the packet and authorize the chair to sign.
Right. Do I have a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved, Madam Chair. Sorry.
Okay.
Second.
Brooke first, Mike second. Okay, Mike on your Brooke on your motion, sorry. Mike,
Aye.
Dave,
Sorry, I'm fumbling my mute button. Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Bert,
Aye.
Hillary,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Christina,
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Okay. So Mike, I will sign that letter for you.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
All right. Next item on the agenda is
Could I?
I'm sorry, Hillary,
Yeah.
do you have a question?
Yeah, I had a quick question. I just would love an update on the new committee that we formed. Has that started meeting yet? The Transportation Committee?
Not yet.
Oh, TPAC. I don't think they've
Not yet.
appointed the I don't think Libby has appointed the members of TPAC, correct?
No. Yeah, I talked with Libby about that in my one-on-one, I think last month, and she's planning on appointing the members when the other annual appointments are done in June.
Just as a note, though, several of the former members of the BPAC committee had reached out to me, so I did proactively provide Libby a list of any of the names of people who are interested, so she makes sure to reach out to them whenever she does that process, because there were a variety of people who were really interested. So we did provide her that info, but it sounds like that'll be part of the regular appointment process.
Thanks.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the Technical Assistance for Regional Planning Agencies, or TARPA, authorizing the Director of Planning to sign that contract. And I don't know, Leslie, if you want to give us a little background on this.
Yep, so this is a contract that we've received, I think, twice before from the state. And then it was a program that went defunct for a little while, but now it's back. And this is in addition to our regular DLTA funds, which is, what does DLTA stand for? Anyway, it's technical assistance funding that we can use for a variety of projects, usually housing related or some type of growth related project. So the TARPA money is $33,333.33. And that's funds that we would use to help our local municipality, the town, for projects that are federally funded. So it's limited to federally funded projects. And in the past, we've contributed money to the Surfside water extension that was being done.
Are there any questions? All right, do I have a motion to authorize the Director of Planning to sign the TARPA contract?
So
So moved.
Okay, motion by Bert, second by
Mike.
Mike. All right. Bert, on your motion.
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Brooke,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Hillary,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Christina,
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. All right. Next item on the agenda is discussion of the warrant articles 74 and 75 for Nantucket 2026 annual town meeting. The first part of this agenda is the procedural logistics of a compromise motion for annual town meeting. I don't know if Leslie, if you want to explain a little bit about this bullet point.
Yes, just give me 1 second. I have to reopen my agenda. Okay, so warrant articles 74 and 75. So the first bullet, procedural logistics of a compromise motion for the annual town meeting. I think the intent here was for you all to talk about how you would proceed if you decided to proceed. To just get that out of the way first and foremost. And then if you do want to proceed with the compromise, then the second bullet, you would talk about potential framework. And then finally, the actual proposal.
All right. Who wants to start? Dave, you raise your hand.
Hi. Yeah, listen, I think I'm in favor of discussing a compromise tonight. I think we owe it to the community. I think that that all of us, every single member on this board, needs to put away any perceived or real slights that they have felt through this process and just honestly sit down and discuss the opportunity here to find a compromise. And, and if we can't, we can't, but I think we do owe it to the community to at least really put the best foot forward and try to work something out here. And that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, I just had a quick question. When we talk about, is anyone able to articulate what that actual procedural, like what is that process, the logistics of a compromise motion for a town meeting? And I don't know if anybody can answer that of like what would actually need to be done and how would that be done? And Christina, I'll let you go and then Mike, but that was just my question.
First, I'd just like to say, Dave, I really appreciate your comments and I completely concur. I don't know, I don't have an answer for you, Abby, but my recommendation was that we've seen in our packet two different kind of variations of change to our recommended legislation. And my recommendation would be that we go around and each person gets a minute or two to say what they like or don't like and what they can agree to and what they can't agree to, so we can get to some type of consensus. But that's just an idea.
Yeah, Christina, I hear you, but I think before we can do that, I think we do need to nail down what that actually would look like, because I think that's a big question that needs to be answered before we can even talk about looking at different proposals. So, Mike, then Joe, then Brooke. So, Michael.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And in agreement with Dave and in agreement with Christina, I like the idea of hearing where the potential hangups may be. I guess my question, and Dave kind of touched on this at the end of our last big meeting discussion, but I'm just envisioning we put a lot of work into this. No problem with that, of course, but we get to town meeting floor and somebody calls Article 75 and blows it all out of the water. Like how procedurally does that play out? I don't have the answer to it. Or how would the sponsors, I guess, of Article 75 react to that? I guess it's kind of a question that would start poking at the edges of what you're inquiring of.
Joe?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I agree with Dave. I do think we should bring this forward. I do think we should have a conversation. But I also want the petitioner to tonight make a decision. I think the waiting to go back and come back with an answer just is really counterproductive, and it's really stalled a lot of our conversations where we've had meetings and we've had all this like great debates and giving up a little here or there or whatever, but never anything is finalized. I think based on our meetings and the hours and hours a week spent, I also like that the FinCom weighed in and gave their perspective. Like the Chamber of Commerce is, definitely is someone that is required to be on this board because it is part of our culture, and they are the ones that will be, being on the regional planning. And I think that's extremely important to have them on that seat. I think they also came up with, just talking about, just some of the guardrails, and there has to be someone that is on living on the island. And I think that's extremely important. So for me, based on this board and FinCom, weighing in and really giving us their perspective, the only thing that I think it comes down to is, do we want to give a seat to be elected or appointed? I think that's the only thing we should be talking about right now. I think that's the only guardrail. But the other part of that is if we can come up with that decision, is the petitioner willing to work with us and remove their article from town meeting? Because I think if that doesn't, isn't solved tonight, then it's going to create a mess later on. So I really think that if we're going to have this discussion, I think that everything needs to be on the table and everything needs to be finalized tonight. And that's the only thing I would say. If it's not, then this is going to be, again, another waste of time. I really hope that we can come with a compromise. I really think this is the right thing we should be doing for the town, is having one more last ditch effort, but everything needs to be finalized tonight. So that's my perspective, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Brooke?
So I'm going to speak to procedure
Okay,
as I
perfect.
imagine it, right? So say we open the discussion for a compromise and we arrive at a compromise. I think what we would then do is take that agreed upon, and I agree with Joe. I think tonight is the night to agree upon it. We cannot push this any longer. More meetings, more discussion. I think, it's got to be agreed to tonight. And I think then what we do is we put a request to FinCom to write an amended motion to our article, which basically is the whole version of the compromise. So the motion is the compromise article in full, is the recommended motion from FinCom that Article 74 has a motion not to adopt, or whatever that version is. I mean, 75, sorry. And then I think 74, with this compromise agreed upon revised motion, is presented to town meeting. It is explained that this was agreed upon by both the commission and the proponents of Article 75. And then should anyone call Article 75, I think that is then just repeated in the discussion of Article 75. Hopefully the compromise passes, but if someone tries to call or present a revised motion to discuss 75, I think we all just reiterate that there was an agreement made on this date that resulted in the revised motion in 74, and hope that town meeting respects the work that we will have done tonight, and the agreement that we have reached. There's no way to control that. You cannot remove an article from the warrant. It exists. So the option for someone to call 75 and offer a revised motion, even after 74 passes, is going to be there. That's where we're at in town meeting procedure. But I think we have if assuming we come to a compromise, we have a very good narrative to explain why any attempt to pass 75 should be voted down by town meeting.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful.
Yep.
John?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, in the packet, I tried to bridge the gaps between 74 and 75, because there's not that many, but I did try to put it into one sort of document that we could all discuss tonight as a way of almost not looking at 74 and 75. Here's something that's sort of trying to bridge the gap. I would love the chance to be able to take a few minutes to go through it if you felt that was useful. If it's not, then that's fine too.
We will. Just give us a second. I think we're still talking through some of the procedure, but I agree. I know you and Matt V worked really hard on your version, and I think we want everybody to be able to hear it. But I think we just want to make sure we finalize Brooke, I didn't know, did you have another
Yeah.
comment on procedure?
Yeah, I mean, I think the agenda is written that we were talking about town meeting procedure and what that looks like, what the potential processes from tonight with a compromise move forward. And then the next, I believe that we need to actually agree to reopen the conversation about the article that we proposed, right? That's the next step. And then the discussion of the various options happens.
Correct.
Am I
So
correct?
that you're right. So that now we're saying, I guess we have to vote as a commission, do we want to discuss a compromise, and we have to lay down those ground rules? And so I don't know if Brooke, if we want to take a vote or however you want to go. You can make a motion. Is that what you're going to do?
So I'm going to move that we reopen the dialogue for compromise with the suggested procedure that we review where we're in agreement, nail that down, like where there's no disagreement, so we're clear, right? And I think that I have some questions as to what certain things in the proponent's language in the grid means for clarification purposes. And then I think then we get to where we're in disagreement, and I think we take them one item at a time. And then we can always circle back to an item if the group so wishes. But I think a free flowing dialogue where everyone's talking about what they think is not productive. I think we need to go item by item, agree or disagree to compromise or not, but with the option to revisit the ones that people weren't ready to compromise on. So we go kind of iterative through the evening. So that's my motion with that procedure.
I'll second that.
Okay. Brooke, on your motion.
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
Bert?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Liza?
Aye.
Hillary?
I'm just going to listen to see where this goes. So I'm going to abstain on this vote, but I am listening.
Okay. And the chair votes aye. Okay. So, I know, John, do you want to share your document and we kind of start there and go item by item if people.
Yeah, that would be, I think that would get us there, except I'm going to leave the number of voting members to the end, if I may. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So, the first is 2 planning board members, one less than the commission article. But, it's been my experience anyway that I think 2 members could easily represent, the feelings and point of view of 5, especially if the 2 are, are selected each year and not for a long period. So I think going from 3 to 2 would be a good start. So I don't know whether we wanted to talk about that now, Madam Chair, or we just go straight through first.
Madam Chair, may I interject? My motion really was to look to the ones where we're in agreement and confirm agreement before we go to the ones that we're in disagreement.
Good point.
If I believe that's what my motion said, if that wasn't clear. Yeah. So
I agree. So if you go back to your document, John, I think the areas that are up in the air are the total number of members, the numbers of planning board, the at large, whether or not someone is elected, and the Chamber of Commerce, I believe. Oh, and the preservation seat, whether it's the CLG versus the NHC.
Yeah.
And one other thing is, I also think there has been some question about the residency of how we define it as well.
I think so, but even the one I just talked about, isn't it at the moment we have the commission article, I think, is for 3 planning board members. And I'm sorry, yeah, 3. And the citizens proposal is 2, or is it? Yeah, it's 2.
Yeah.
So we do.
Yeah, but I don't think,
Agree.
I think that it gets too confusing when we're talking about compromise, because compromise can be a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Compromise is where we are today versus what is on the warrant. So I think there's a lot of different things. So I don't think we should get hung up on that. I think people should just say what they're comfortable with or not. But like, for instance, everybody seems in agreement. We're going to have a elected seat from the land bank, for instance, correct?
Yes. The county commission, conservation, housing, social service, and land bank, I don't think there is any disagreement at all on those 5.
Madam Chair, I just would like a point of clarification. It is unclear to me whether a community member may serve and may be appointed should there not be a member of those appointing authorities who's willing to serve. And I think that was, so I would like a clarification from Hillary, if through you, Madam Chair. Does representative of the Conservation Commission appointed by the Conservation Commission mean it must be a Conservation Commission member, or maybe a member of the community should no Conservation Commission member be willing to serve?
It's intended to be the latter, and I think it is the latter.
Okay, that's super helpful. Then I think we agree.
So the idea of the sector appointments, if you will, right, Brooke?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the appointing authority members have the first right of refusal for that seat. I think that it wasn't clear in our version, and I guess I'd love to get consensus from our commission that that's okay, because we hadn't really discussed it. And then I think we can agree, right, on those things.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, that was how I viewed it, of like, these appointing boards would be the first, if any of their members wanted to serve, of course, they should appoint a member. But just if people are too busy, we know a lot of people are on a lot of boards, that then it gives us the flexibility to appoint somebody who might be involved in that sector, but not necessarily on the board. But I think the intention is, obviously, if a board member is interested first, they would get the first shot. That was how I understood it as well. Christina, Mike, I see both of your hands up.
I would just like to recommend that we word it accordingly, that it's to be one of the members of the board unless they cannot find one that wants to, and leave out the word sector so that it's really clear of the intention that you just said. And I think that will suffice both sides. If the board can't fill it, they can fill it with somebody else, but they will recommend it, and kind of leave out the word sector just so it doesn't leave that ambiguity. That's my recommendation.
Okay. All right. Mike, and then Dave.
Sorry to be slightly obtuse here, but I think we're on the right track. So we are saying, and forgive me, Christina, for using the word sector, because I don't have another one right now, but we are leaving the sector appointment on the table as an option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just priority goes to the appointing board members, which I think makes sense.
That's the way I explained it to the Conservation Commission in my report. And I will say, just for the record here, that everybody was well in favor of that on the Conservation Commission. Thank you.
Dave, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, and I hear what Christina's saying. I think it's important to understand that if that appointment happens because they can't find a board member, that it is somebody that has something to do with that sector, right? I get that she wants to get rid of the name, but I think that in the language somewhere we should say, in lieu of a board member, somebody with working knowledge of that, whatever that I don't want to use the word sector, but whatever that appointing body is. So I just want to make sure we don't lose that and they don't just appoint someone who, whatever, right?
John and Brooke and Christina.
Brooke, please, go ahead.
So may I suggest the following language for the Conservation Commission, Affordable Housing Trust seats that we definitely agree on, right? And Council for Human Services, that the language be a representative to be appointed by, insert the body, either a member of that appointing body or a community member who will represent their interests at the commission. How does that sound, everybody?
I'm good with that.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
We have
John.
some agreement.
Yeah. Progress. Good
so
job, Brooke.
I think we can head the historic preservation sector to that group, right? Or no?
I think so. I think the only question was on the appointing body.
But I thought we, in the end, said it would be the Nantucket Historical Commission at some point. I don't know whether that got washed away or what, but I thought at one point we had that.
In the article on the warrant, it is the certified local government, which is just the HDC and the NHC. So it's not just one.
We might want to put that in the not agreed upon bin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
and I'm not saying that I'm against it. I just think that for simplicity, let's put it in the non agreed upon bin. It seems like
that's where I have it, Dave.
Oh, okay.
That's where I have it. Okay, so do we want to make is there anything else that's, oh, well, if we want to, we've agreed on no term limits, right? Yes or no?
correct.
Okay.
Is Hillary nodding on that? Hillary, I know you want to stand back, but we really need your input on this.
So I gave you my proposal, and I did indicate that I would agree to no term limits.
Okay.
And then commissioners must be a registered voter or listed on the street list. I think that's agreed by everybody. Yes.
I think, yeah, that was, Leslie, that was the definition you got from town council, correct?
Yes, from the town clerk and confirmed by town council.
Okay, so, yep, I think everybody agrees on that.
So I think we get back up to the planning board members, don't we? 2 or 3. That is not now. Do we have any others that are agreed that I'm missing?
Brooke.
So to my mind, the number of planning board members is driven by some of the other decisions because it's used to balance the odd number.
Yes.
So I think the next topic, in my opinion, should be, we should talk about the appointing authority for the historic one. See if we can get that done and then talk about the chamber seat.
Yeah.
That
He's reading my mind.
And I'll say on, I could go either way on this, but I want to say that, especially, and Leslie can talk about the HDC voted, but I think the intent here was just to have both the HDC and the NHC. So again, a group that rather than just having one, the NHC only has 7 members, but you have both. So it's just a broader group of people who could represent the preservation sector. So I think that is the only thought behind it. But like, if this is something we have to compromise on, like, I don't think anybody would say no, but I think that was the intent of like why you'd pick the bigger group, because obviously everyone from the NHC is part of the CLG. It's really just the HDC plus the NHC together. So,
Yep.
Joe, I see your hand, and then Christina.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, maybe a thought is to have it the historical commission first, and like say no one wants it, it defaults to the HGC members. So at least we have a backstop. I mean, I think that everyone on the NHC is very much involved and probably want to participate. But I do think if we had a backstop, I mean, I honestly I think the CLG is probably the best. But I think in this case, I'm fine going with a historical commission. But just that's my
I
thought.
like
I think that's a
that's
great
actually a
idea.
good, yeah, I think that's a great idea of compromising, of having it be, so it would be NHC first, then if no one wants to serve, then we could do HCC, and then if no one wants to serve, then it could be a member of the preservation community. I think that's a good compromise on this. I don't know how other people feel. Brooke?
Just as a point of clarification, we're talking about who is the actual appointing authority. So
Mhm.
we would be moving it to NHC with the prioritization of applicants, first NHC members, then HDC members, then the community at large. Is that what we're saying? Just for
Yeah,
And NHC contains the appointing authority. So if nobody on the HDC wants to serve, the NHC would be able to appoint somebody in that word that I don't want to use.
yes.
Back there.
In that
Right?
area of
Yeah,
expertise, Dave.
exactly. Yeah. So, is that the intent
Yeah,
with this?
thank you. That's
Okay.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
No, I think that I mean, I'd love to hear from Hillary, but I think that that is a really good compromise, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Hillary,
So
for you, Madam Chair.
Yes,
So-
yes, that's okay.
yeah, I just want to make sure I understand. So the proposal is that the NHC would be appointing the appointing body, and they could appoint one of their own members, but if no one wanted to serve, they would be directed by the special act to first offer a nomination of a member of the HDC.
Yes. And then if no one from either of them want to serve, then it would be someone who is in the preservation area of expertise.
And the NHC would be the naming authority.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would object to that.
Okay,
Great.
great.
Thank you.
Making progress.
We're making progress.
All right. Next, I think Brooke, you said the next thing is the chamber seat.
Yeah.
I think my only I think it's important to have the chamber seat for as Joe brought up earlier. I think that the FinCom was very supportive of it being a voting member of the commission. I also I'm concerned that if you make anyone a non-voting member, the reality is they might not be as engaged as someone who's a voting member of the commission. And I would hate to us do that, and then like the person just doesn't come to our meetings because they're not a voting member. And I just think it personally, I think it's really important to have the business perspective,
Yep.
specifically being a part of this commission. So just my thought. I'll go to Dave, John, and then Nat. Sounds
Yeah.
like you were going to say something, Nat, right?
Yeah, I'm just looking for the hand.
Okay, Dave.
What it is.
So, yeah, so I struggle with this. I mostly struggle with the non-voting part, and I cannot really support that. But what I would like to offer is maybe a compromise or a suggestion. Well, a couple things first. I think it's sad when we take a regional planning authority in a town whose biggest industry is tourism and remove our tie, or I mean, we don't have a tie right now, but or I guess we do, but to remove our tie from the state tourism board, which is really what the chamber is for us. But if we can't find a compromise, if we can't find a compromise here in having the chamber as a voting member of the board, I would suggest that we would direct, and maybe that's not the right word, the county commissioners to make sure that one of the appointments for the at-large seat was a business member of the community. So that's my thoughts. Thank you.
John? I think
Thank you,
you
Madam
and
Chair.
then Nat.
It's okay.
So I was going to try to make this the last thing, Madam Chair. But anyway, we're past that point. And so I would just absolutely support what David just put on the table as a good compromise. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Nat, yeah.
Yeah, I just agree with what Dave and John said. I just think that the whole chamber thing now is not, this isn't 1975 anymore over here. And what I think, seeing the chamber bringing the person in the other night for the bridge explanation, I thought that was a really interesting venue, how that happened. I think with the filming this fall of the movie, we had that on the agenda at the steamship last meeting earlier this month, and the policies are getting kind of tweaked a little bit because of that, because of how much involvement there was with that with the filming this fall. And I just think that it's not just about business. It really is just, it's about events. It's about the fall, the spring. It's not so much about the summer. The summer's going to happen here no matter what. But the shoulder seasons always have something new and something different. And I think with the new types of businesses that are here, I think it's really important that the chamber, and Peter's really good. I mean, we're lucky to have him right now. And I think we need to take advantage of that and keep that seat on this as an electing member too. I don't like this. I don't agree with this non-voting. We kind of went through this with the whole DPW thing. They were voting, but there was issues with attendance and who was coming, and that's one of the reasons that was removed, and they were made into an ex officio seat back 10 years ago, or 12, or whatever it was that happened. But I feel strongly about 13 for a lot of reasons, adding more diversity to this and allowing us to have this discussion right now. Having 13 allows this to progress to more of a compromise as well, my opinion.
Yeah. Christina?
I don't have an answer to this, and I don't know if staff has looked into this, but Hillary did bring up the part of them being a 501c3 and the lobbyists. I don't know all the details. Maybe she wants to talk about it, but I would just question whether there is any legal issue. I think that Dave's compromise is a good one that will allow us to move forward. She has put together her compromise, and it does not include the Chamber of Commerce. So I would not want to see this get lost because of that one seat. So that's just my comments.
Leslie, I think, and actually, didn't this come up at FinCom where it was not an issue, the Regional Tourism Council, that the lobbying, like those pieces aren't going to be an issue, but I'm not sure.
There was some discussion about it at FinCom. It's not an issue that town council has raised during, his review of the legislation, which he's gone through several times. I'm not aware of it being a problem.
Okay. Mike?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't even know where to start on this one. I mean, Hillary had made some comments about them being a lobbying, have them lobbying. I just don't. I guess I don't see where there's harm in the Chamber of Commerce. At FinCom, Jill brought up she wasn't even happy to see economic development being dropped from the name, and I'm not saying I'm not I wouldn't be in favor of Dave's compromise, but an appointment from the business sector, take myself as a landscaper, for example. I have the Conservation Commission seat, but I do have a business here. That is, I'm so focused on my small little world of flowers, grass, and bushes. I just am, I'm just not sure that, for instance, I would be a responsible appointment for the business sector on larger issues. So a little bit remaining a little bit concerned with Chamber of Commerce not being involved. Thank you.
I'll say my part, and then Joe. I think that's my concern. I think absolutely it's fine to have people from the business world as at large, but I think that those are two very different things. Advocating specifically as a regional tourism council and acting as a small business, I think are two different things. And I think Nat brought up a lot of the different points. It's more than just the business, it's the events, it's like the bridge, like the bridge coalition, like that thing, because that totally did come to us because of Peter. He, I think, did a presentation to Leslie and staff about the work that the bridge, that's happening with the bridges, and put those members who came and presented to us in contact with us. And so I think it's important to remember like that is part of the focus. It's not just the representing businesses, but advocating for our region at a statewide level. And I think that the Regional Tourism Council gives us a level of, power at the state that just a random business person might not have. So I just think that like important to keep in mind, those are two different things. I do think it's important to keep the seat in because, again, going back to what Mike brought up, what Jill had said, like this is economic development is a part of this commission, whether or not we take it out of the name. And so we should be making sure that we're representing the economic interests of our island.
And can I, Madam
Well,
Chair, I'm afraid to find the hand raising button that'll shut something off. So I wouldn't want to miss the rest of this, believe me. So I just want to, I don't need to get nostalgic and all that, but we used to have the Chowder Fest. We used to have a lot of events that have migrated to different things. It just happens by itself here. One of the things, my work world brings me to every restaurant on the island over 39 years of my job. And how those places have changed is unbelievable. I could write a book or two or three. It's unbelievable. Who speaks for them? Who speaks for downtown? Who speaks for the differences in how maybe the town, say, I don't want to say treats business, but more of like how things are handled during the course of the season. There's a lot of work goes into running a restaurant down here. I can tell you that. And I think that all the different businesses need a voice. There used to be a restaurant association that's kind of defunct now. That was back in the 80s and the 90s. It's different now, and I think that it's really important to have a modern sort of thinking chamber on this commission with a voice for what is happening and what isn't happening. So I just really think it's a good thing. I don't think it's promoting business to more than not. I don't think it's promoting more than what we can handle and all that kind of stuff. That's not the case. This stuff happens by itself, whether we're here or not. So I just think it's good to have them. They're right there at Zero Main Street. I mean, you can't get any better location, and they got their eyes out the window to everything that's going on downtown. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Joe and Brooke. Nat,
No, it's all good. Nat doesn't know he's got two hands. No, I just want to say that I think that the chamber, I think Joanna Roach during the FinCom meeting did a really good job explaining how invaluable it be. I really think that was a really important perspective to hear. I thought it was great that someone on the other side of the table of a town board brought a lot of that information that we had kind of discussed, and I thought that was great. It was echoed back. And I think that Jill kind of brought it all back in, Madam Chair of the FinCom. I think that Jill brought a really good job of bringing everything back together about like we have to make sure that we're encompassing this. As the island's grown, I think that this board should grow a little bit. And if it's 2 seats, it's 2 seats. But to kind of sever off a finger, if you will, of the town, I think would be really, kind of not really beneficial to us. And I really think we really need to bring them in. I know they're a nonprofit, knowing that, but I think they always have the best interests of Nantucket in mind. And I think if they make a mistake, they change, they evolve as the town needs. And I think this is really important. And I think Mike Burns, the gentleman came,
Yeah.
and I think he did a really good job of bringing us up to speed. I think also, having Leah from Crack come on us and give us information of like what's going on. I think these are really important things. She's a town staff member, but I would also think to that point, I think if she was not on, not part of the town, but wanted to be a non-voting member, I think she would not be as interested to come to some of these meetings. And I think that that would be really important. So I understand what John's trying to do, and I liked his perspective. But after really kind of weighing it in, I really think that you need to have someone with a vote, someone that brings perspective. And I think that you need that round table kind of focus where you can all come in and someone brings something. They may have something wrong information, but it starts a discussion, and I think that's really important. And I don't think we should be missing anything that happens on the town. Like Nat says, they're right on Main Street. They know what's going on. They're watching the boats. They're reading all this information coming in. I mean, there's just as valuable as Mike Byrne to us. I think they would be invaluable to this board. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Yep. Brooke.
I have another alternative as a compromise.
Okay.
That the at-large seats, whatever number they end up being, because that will depend on the planning board number of seats as well and the total, that there is a seat reserved for a representative. I'm just going to stumble over my words for a minute, to represent sort of economic development or the business community, and that we give, rather than have the chamber be the actual appointing authority, that they make a recommendation to the county commissioners of a person to represent that, not using the word sector, that area of interest in planning, but that we take advantage of their connection to the business community to filter and recommend a nominee for that designated sort of business or economic development seat among the at-large seats, but the actual appointing authority would be the county commissioners.
Yeah.
Liza, I see your hand, and Dave, I saw you talking about it. Okay.
I think that's a great idea, Brooke.
Yeah, I think that's a good compromise, Brooke. I like that. So I just want to make sure I understand. So however many at large, and so this might be, we have more at large, but one of the at large is dedicated to economic development sector or area of expertise, whatever that is, and that they recommend to
Business sector.
to the business sector, they recommend an appointment. But they recommend who's being appointed by the county commissioners. So that business sector so it wouldn't just be like a random person. It would be, this person has to be recommended by the business sector to be appointed to that specific seat.
So
And
if they recommended someone wildly inappropriate,
yeah,
the county commissioners could decline to nominate that person. Their person wouldn't be automatically seated, but would be subject to appointment by the county commissioners. So
right.
It would go through the same nomination process the select board and county commissioners have, including their name and their information being in the select board packet for a number of weeks. People can comment to the county commissioners on the appropriateness of that person, like any other large seat, so that the appointment isn't done in the chamber boardroom, it's done at the county commissioners. But we're using them to recommend somebody from that business community.
Okay. Mike? Oh.
Thank you. Well, Brooke answered the question. I was getting to who I thought it was the chamber was making the recommendation, and she just clarified that. So
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. It sounds like that is a really creative but good compromise. I like it. Brooke, is everyone in agreement with that? Everyone's nodding.
As a fallback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Hillary, would you be open to that as one of the at-large seats?
Yeah, I would just comment that if there's I maybe insert the language that the county commissioners may invite the chamber to recommend one of the at-large members, because you could find that you're in a position where it's well represented already through other avenues onto the commission, and you're only going to have so many at-large seats. You'll have lots of people to choose from. And I wouldn't want to put the county commission in a box where they have to say no to somebody else who maybe brings something different if they feel in their own estimation that the business community is well represented.
Brooke, I'll leave that to you.
So if I may, I think what we're trying to do is make sure that the Affordable Housing Trust has seats designated for people in real estate, right? For a reason. It brings the expertise of a real estate professional to the board. So when the person applies for that seat, their credentials are vetted by the appointing authority, the select board, right? So I think what we're doing, I think to Hillary's point, what I'd like to say is that there is a seat that is designed and designated to be representative of the business community of Nantucket. And I'm fine with it being more informal about the chamber being, the chamber could just weigh in on an applicant, or they can encourage people to apply. So pulling that back. So I like the way Hillary said it, the select board may request that the Chamber of Commerce or the Regional Tourism Board recommend a nominee.
I agree. And I think we don't necessarily want to put that language into the enabling legislation because we don't want to make it too, but I agree. And I mean, we can also continue what we have been doing. What I've been trying to do as chair is inviting these different bodies to come. And so we can commit to making sure that the Regional Tourism Council comes at least once a year to talk to this commission, no matter what, things like that. So, okay. The next item. Okay, Brooke.
I just want to make sure we're agreed and that Hillary's good with that before we move on.
Yeah, Hillary, are you in agreement with what Brooke proposed?
I think so. I mean, I think what we're saying is that the special act should emphasize somewhere in the language that economic development and the business sector should be represented on the commission, and that it's the responsibility of the county commissioner, if they feel that that representation hasn't come in through a different channel, that they should make sure that it is represented in the at-large seat. I'm a little unclear as to how you wanted to phrase the chamber, but the idea that the chamber is suggesting, not appointing, the select board is appointing, and that we're not going to back ourselves into a corner if the select board feels that Abby is representing the chamber, then and if Abby were there as, I don't know, on the planning board or something, Abby is an at-large member, they wouldn't feel that need to appoint someone. I'm not sure how you're going to get that, but that's my understanding, I think. Is that
No,
you need?
I'm clearly stating that one of the at-large seats is intended to be a representative of the business community, separate and distinct from anyone else who's on the planning board by other means of appointment or election. I mean, on the planning commission, that there is a designated seat to represent the business community on the planning commission at all times, regardless, because the problem is you could appoint an at-large seat for a term, and then the person that you think represented the business community, Christina or Abby, by virtue of their lives outside of their appointing authority or how they got on the commission, leaves, and then that voice is lost. I want to be very clear. This is a designated seat for someone to represent the business community, like in the same vein as a real estate professional being on the Affordable Housing Trust. It is a designated seat at all times, regardless of the other members on the commission.
Okay, and that it's going to be you're envisioning that the special act is silent about the chamber, but that it's going to instead substitute this idea of a business seat, and that it will, and you're also saying that it will be for that will be appointed through the at-large members.
Yeah. Yep. Same way the real estate professional is appointed to the Affordable Housing Trust. They apply for that specific seat.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Based on their resume or their where they are. Mm-hmm. And then obviously the county commissioners would have some discretion around how to define that. But I think the fact that someone would be applying specifically to represent the business community on the commission would be the goal.
Okay. I understand. Thank you for clarifying.
Do you agree to that though, Hillary?
I think that's a good approach, and that it addresses the concern that the group articulated from my side. Yeah.
All right. So the next item I think we have is which one do you think is next, Brooke? Is it?
I think it's a comment. So now we're at one at-large seat is business, right? We've taken care of that. So now we're really at 13 versus 11. So I think we're down to, if we want to go to 13, it's 3 planning board and 4 at-large. If we want to stay at 11, it's 2 planning board and 3 at-large. Does that make sense in the total number?
Yes.
And we can go to the elected versus appointed as the last.
Okay. I agree. I think it makes sense going to the extra at large, since it is a seat dedicated to the business area. That's my opinion. I don't know what other people think.
But the corresponding thing to keep it odd would be to up the planning board, or go to 5 at large and leave planning board at 2. Those are sort of the options. I know that's I'm introducing new concepts, and I said we shouldn't do that, but
I mean, I think the previous legislation that's gone forward to the state had 1 planning board. We have 5 now. I personally feel like 3 is right in the middle. I also think it helps the math work where we added an at-large person because it's dedicated. So I would support the 13. Also, I agree with what Nat said is, making sure we have enough people and are able to have enough voices is important. Dave, you, and then Joe.
Yeah, I unfortunately don't totally agree with you, Madam Chair. I think that we move forward as a commission to broaden this, and I think that I rather see 5 at large and 2 planning board members. To be honest with you, I think that 3. I don't think we need 3, and I think that instead of adding an at large seat, again, we're broadening access for people to serve on this board. Thank you.
Okay, Joe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I respectfully disagree with Dave. I think that the 3 members are important because of we're doing, micro zooming on one lot at a time in a planning board, but at the same time, we are having, now we'll tell you global conversations about how this may impact the street, and we are kind of zooming out. And so I really think it's important to have that information and conversation and then coming to this board and also having three members, being able to, give that perspective. And I think that's really important. I mean, Nat and I don't agree all the time. Dave and I, John, like Hillary, we all don't agree all the time. But at the same time, I think that we have discussions, debates that really bring the best thing forward for Nantucket. So I really think that three planning board members was a really good compromise because when I first started, I took what Hillary had applied. I think it was Article 81 way back in the day. And where we're at as five, I really thought the compromise was go down to three. And I thought that was really important to keep, the information, connected between these boards. And I think that will be really important. That's why I think that we should stick with the three and have the four at large based on the last conversation with keeping a business sector. And I think that, as I said it earlier, Nantucket's grown. I think this board should grow by 2 seats and get a little more perspective and information. So that's my take. Thank
John's got his hand up. Abby, you there?
He's not
I
there.
think
Maybe John can.
Christina's got her hand up.
So
Okay.
John, maybe just go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So I wholeheartedly agree with Mr. Iverson. I haven't been on the planning board that long, but I have been on it long enough, I think, to weigh in on this because if two people cannot articulate, the thoughts of a five-member board, I just think we can. Two of us can do a job for the five of us. And every year we have an opportunity to rotate that if there is a reason to do it. But I really do think that the two is the right number. And I never would have thought about it, but you know what? Having five at large, yeah, I think that is that's a good thing also. So I'm with David. Thank you.
So Abby, it looks like Abby dropped off. So I guess I'll step in as the as the vice chair here. And Christina.
I would just like to recommend what Dave is saying for a couple of reasons. Not that I have a strong opinion about the 2 versus 3, but the 2 is what the citizens compromise is, so it keeps us a little bit more in line of not making too many changes. We are increasing, which is not something on their recommendation or compromise. So, but I think that having the 2 additional in the at-large section leaves it for variety and accomplishes both. It doesn't narrow it down too much for the citizens petition, but it allows flexibility to be there as everybody's asking for more diversity. So I support Dave's idea of 2 and 5.
For the record, is this the first time we talked about 5 at large?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything.
I don't want to go down the path too far if the number if it doesn't add up, because I think we have 6 of these board and sector appointments, not including the planning board.
Is my math wrong?
Well, we have the housing, Concom, county, preservation, land bank, social services. That's 6.
Yep.
So it's if I may, it's a matter of, do we have 5 additional for 11?
And then the 2 planning boards makes 13.
Or do we add 2 at large to make it 13? I think is where we're kind of going, though some people think 3 planning, Joe said 3 planning boards. So if I may lay out the options, if nobody minds, I think our options are we stay at 11, which would be 2 planning and 3 at large, one of which is the business sector. We go to 13, and at 13, we have 2 options: 3 planning, 4 at large, or 2 planning, 5 at large. So we sort of have 3 versions available to us based on this conversation. Does that make sense?
I kind of like the three planning. I don't know what. I guess my my question for the group is, what is the aversion to 3 planning versus 2? I mean, I've always found it. Or let me just take a step back. I've been on the NP and EDC for two appointments, and there was a lot of legwork that went into this even before. Obviously, I was on when Barry was chair, and a lot of other people did the work. So I've always found the planning board to be valuable as I come up to speed, and I'm a little confused at what the aversion is to 2 versus 3 at the moment. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The I see the problem as trying to find 5 at-large people. That's, I think, another thing that hearing this now, I think that may be a problem that could surface. And what happens if we don't have someone on the board? Or we can't fill a seat, and we back down to 12 people, and we have a, even number. That's the only reason I didn't want to go to what Dave was saying, or does that bring us back down to 11 seats? But I think we should be 13 seats. So we're getting into a math problem, and I keep seeing my tail go round and round. Thank you.
Dave?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my concern is the continued perception that the planning board rules the roost, and that and there's no other opportunities for voices to be heard. I think with 3 and 13 that's less problematic. I honestly could go either way, whatever this board decides, and as long as it's in the spirit of compromise with Hillary. But again, that's my simple reasoning for wanting 2 instead of 3. But I think with a 13-member board, that 3 planning board members have a less of an impact as it would on an 11-member board. Thank you.
Christina?
True.
Through you, Chair, I would like to know if Hillary could possibly weigh in on the 3 options that Brooke laid out, and let us know if there's one that's an absolute no, and it just might help us get a little further, or one that she has a real issue with.
Okay, let me take Liza and John first, and then we'll get back to that question. Thank you. Liza?
Thank you. I just have a question. So I am not entirely clear on the on thoughts versus about doing 11 versus 13, and I would just like the pros and cons of that, because I don't think I'm really. Maybe we have discussed it, but I feel like it may have gotten lost in a lot of the other stuff we were talking about.
Brooke, can you help me out with that one?
I mean, I think the 11 versus 13 has been more about the math of how many groups we wanted represented, and in our original, my understanding is in our crafting of our article, we wanted these groups represented, and so the total number was really balancing to an odd number. Liza,
Okay.
I don't, but I think Dave's point is a valid one, that concerns that have been expressed, and Hillary, correct me if I'm wrong, about having a voting majority of the planning board seated on the planning commission. I believe I heard that as one of the concerns about having 3 planning board members, and I too would like to hear from Hillary about that. But Dave's point is, 3 planning board members on a 13-member commission do not even come close to a voting majority on the commission itself. So I don't know whether that, I don't know how to understand that concern of 3. So really, I think it's more about just making the numbers work. But 13 has been more seats, more diverse representation. And I don't mean diverse in terms of ethnic or racial diversity, but I mean just voices and perspectives, diversity from across the community, which was the goal, the underlying goal, I think, of the commission all along.
John, do you want to go, or do you want to hear from Hillary first?
Well, let's hear from Hillary. Yeah, Mike. Thanks.
Okay, Hillary.
Hi. Yeah. So, well, I had in my compromise proposal 2 planning board and 3 at large, I think. So obviously I would accept, I think that would be a very reasonable place to land, and we could be done, which would be amazing. As far as why not 3 planning board, that is a hard no. And the reason is because it's a quorum of the planning board, which potentially removes any minority wing of the planning board from the conversation that could easily happen at this commission about long range planning. So yeah, I mean, Brooke, you had that right. As I've said in the past, that's the reason.
John.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I should know this, but I don't. So I'm going to ask everybody, do we have any other 13-member boards or commissions on the island?
I can, not that I'm aware of. Conservation Commission 7.
Do we have any other 11-member commissions or boards on the island?
I mean, John, I think you know that that's a no.
Well, then, Nat, so that's...
What's the difference?
Well, the difference is, why are we so set on 11 is not enough when we are the only commission on the island that has even 11? And we want to even go further because we are not diversified enough. And I just wonder if that's really valid or not. And in the spirit of compromise, couldn't we make sure that, especially with 1 or 2 more at-large members, that we do have the diversification, probably more than any other commission or board. So that's just my point, Nat.
I mean,
I don't think we're set on it, but we're having the discussion, and that's a good thing. But Dave,
crack is 11, I think.
Wow. Is it really, Dave?
I think so.
Oh boy. Okay.
Did you have something more, Dave? Go ahead.
Yeah, through you to Hillary. Hillary, are you opposed to the 13-member board? Are you stuck on 11? I think that's important to understand as we go down this path.
Yeah. I prefer 11. I think the board is really big already. So I do prefer 11, but the bigger issue for me is the 2 versus 3 planning board members. It just, yes, it depends. Where we are now, the bigger issue is the planning board members.
Christina and Bert, I see your hand up. I'll get to you after Christina.
Just a point of clarification. Megan, could you answer how many members are on the other regional planning boards?
Off the top of my head, no. Leslie might, maybe not.
I don't know, but
I can do a quick Google search while you continue to debate.
Okay.
Bert?
think Hillary might know the answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you done?
Comment on that. Some of these planning commissions have like over 100 members, and the reason is that it's really it's formulated based on every town has a representative, so it's not really germane to our problem or our challenge.
Thanks for the clarification.
Bert?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've got to leave the meeting now. I was hoping we were going to have a vote before I had to leave, but I'll give the chair my vote if they need it.
Okay, thank you.
guys. Good luck.
Thank you.
And it's also true that CRAC does have 11 members.
They are also an advisory board.
Well, I
Thank
don't
God.
agree with the statement that we're an advisory board because we control employment contracts and have money that we spend directly and employ people, but they are an advisory board. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not exactly sure where we're at, Brooke.
So Hillary, in the spirit of compromise, if we kept 2 planning board members and went to 5 at large, would that be something that you would consider? So we can keep it on the table for the commission or not?
Yeah, if people, I would consider that.
Well, we need you to
I would
actually
come up with, but yeah, so
we need you to commit tonight, Hillary. Honestly, that I would consider. You're. I'm a little frustrated by.
Is that what people want? People really want 5? I mean, I think it's a strange place to land, but if that's what people want, I will. If they want 2 planning board members and 5 at large, I will accept that. And I think people that have been in my group would also accept that. But I would like to hear if that's really where people want to land. And
if I may, Mr. Chair, the reason I ask is because it's no point in us discussing and deciding amongst ourselves if it's a non-starter for you. So that's really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we can have a robust conversation among the commission about you knowing that 2 is your hard line. And so really are we willing to accept 2? And then if we're willing to accept 2, then do we want to add at-large seats to get to 13 if we're committed to 13 as a number? So maybe the first question, Mr. Chair, is are we willing as a commission to accept 2?
So I can take like a temperature of the board or an informal poll. Does that sound like a good way to do it?
Or something.
Yeah. Okay. So let me pull out something to write on since I wasn't totally prepared to do this. And if I'm missing anybody, please help me out and speak up because I don't have my little attendance list set here. But Christina, since you're first on my screen, I'm going to start with you.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Can I,
Go ahead,
Mr.
Dave.
Chair, are we saying we're okay with 2 seats and 13 members, or are we just at the 2 seats right now?
2 and
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so this is one question.
Oh, is
It's
that what
2
it is? I
seats.
thought we were doing. Okay, never mind.
Right.
All right.
I just want to be clear.
Yes,
I don't
thank
care
you.
either way. So
Okay.
we're just voting on the amount of planning board seats.
Not
Brooke,
vote.
what? Just taking a
Straw
poll.
poll on.
Well, that's what I mean. There's
Exactly.
straw poll on just the planning board seats,
Yeah.
correct?
Just the planning board seats.
Okay, great.
So
And-
I'm okay with 2 planning board seats.
John,
I'm okay with 2 planning board seats.
Liza,
I'm okay with 2 planning board seats.
Nat,
I'm reluctantly okay with 2 planning board seats.
Dave,
I'm okay with 2 planning board seats.
Joe,
I'm not okay with 2 planning board seats.
let's see. We don't have Abby and we don't have Bert. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess that means I have to say something, but I'll go along with 2 planning board seats. And am I forgetting somebody?
No.
No, because
Okay.
because Bird is off as well.
Okay.
That
That seems like we have a majority agreement on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and Brooke, if you would help me out, like what's our next piece on?
Our next step really is 3 or 5 at-large seats.
Wait. I didn't get Hillary's. I'm sorry. I missed Hillary.
Oh, yeah, I am.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So
Thank you.
So assuming we would have that vote would pass for 2, then our question really is, are we proposing a commission of 11 or 13 to be made up of 3 or 5 at-large seats?
So do we want to have some further discussion on that, or do we just want to go ahead and do the straw poll? Or I should say, does anybody have any further discussion on that before
I
we?
mean, I think 3 is not enough and 5 could be too many, but so I think we're kind of in a weird place, right?
Can we have a discussion on the makeup of 5 as a forget about just 5. How are they getting? Okay, so we have planning board alternate can be on the planning commission. Okay, there was a confusion about that 10, 15 years ago. Leslie will remember that. The only one that's going to remember that. And we had, Sylvia. She thought it was wrong, and she stuck to it. We had stubborn people in the past before we have the stubborn people today, believe me. So I feel that those seats, if we have 5, there's going to be a time we have to either make it where a planning board member can't be an at-large. That could happen, okay, where they could get appointed by the county commission. So I think that we need to make sure that we know what we're doing with 5 seats. I'm okay with it. I actually think what Brooke said really opened my mind up a little bit more tonight, because we hadn't talked about this yet. And this ability to slip in the business sector seat as a specific seat for an at-large, it makes a lot of sense to do that. But if we're doing that, then we really only have 4 at-large. If you want to look at an at-large in its original definition, as somebody that just puts their name in and they go through the process to get appointed. So theoretically, we're really only going to have 4 real at-large. So I don't see it as too many because of that, if I made any sense. Sorry, Joe. It is a little bit, but this is a good conversation because we have not had this yet.
So go ahead,
Mr. Chair. I'm confused why Nat says we only really have 4.
Because the 5th seat is going to be specific for business, Dave.
Oh, okay. Yep. Nope. I got you now.
You see what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm not
no,
looking at like, oh, we got 5. Oh my God. We have 4 and 1 specific.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it's not
that
like,
makes a ton of sense. Thank you.
I'm just trying to think about the future and how this is going to unfold. You know what I mean? So we haven't even got into the term stuff yet. So whatever. That's for somebody else to figure out. But
John?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to echo the 4 number, because in my mind that's what it is. So I'm okay with 5 and 1 already being allocated. So 4, yeah, it's good. Thank you.
Liza?
I'm okay with 5. I think my main concern would be if there weren't enough people who wanted to be an at-large member, that there would be the ability for a planning board member to step in if there was a lack of people for the at-large seats.
And Mike, Mr. Chair, Mr. Acting Vice Chair. Yes. I want to just bring something up. Liza just made me think of something. We also had, and Leslie's the only one that's going to remember this too, Brian Chadwick was a at large as a select board member. So we had technically two select board county members at one time. So there's a lot of I guess I would say ability for these little things to happen at certain times. And I'm actually fine with it. If there's nobody, you have to have an out, you can't beg people to do it. But at the same time, I just wanted to point that out that we had that one at one time.
Thank you, Nat. Christina?
Um, I am not in favor of the 13 just because I think it's already very difficult to manage the 11 that we have. But I can be a minority, that's fine. I would like to stay away from saying if it doesn't get filled, then it should get filled by a planning board member or by a select board member. It should just be up to the county commissioners to make the decision. If they don't have enough people running or letters of interest, it's their choice whether the seat stays open. But I really think it's unfair to say it will be backfilled with a planning board person because that's just kind of getting around what the hard no about the two planning board members are. If the select board feels that's the way they want to go, then I think that's more their choice.
Christina,
let Nat
if
go
I don't,
first, and then I'll
I'm
get to
not
Leslie.
trying to make a back and forth, but I wasn't suggesting that should happen.
Mm-hmm.
I was just giving the history of how it did happen in the past.
Okay.
Just, that's all. I wasn't saying it like it was going to happen. And I'm not necessarily thinking it would. I'm just saying it did. No one ever really said too much about it, except Sylvia, as I recall. Okay.
Liza?
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify. I'm not saying that has to be the person that takes that role. I'm just saying that it's a possibility for that to happen if the scenario works out. It's not that it wouldn't be permitted, but that's not like the stopgap measure if we're lacking a person. But I also feel like you can't have one of the at-large seats not filled because then you have an even amount of commissioners. So like you have to have an odd amount. So that's all.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. I personally like the idea, but it'll be up to the county commissioners, I think. Dave?
You're muted, Dave.
You're muted.
Yikes. Did Meg ever tell us what the other RPAs have for like the smaller RPAs, maybe Franklin County? Do we know how many commissioners they have?
I can tell you the Vineyard has 17. They're probably the most aligned with us.
Okay.
Let me look at Franklin County.
Mr. Chair, I can say I had 22 on my advisory committee when I was in Houston, but that's a big metropolitan area.
All right.
Franklin County has 26 municipalities.
So they're going to be big.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not scared of 13, but thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on 11 or 13 before we take our poll?
I would just say, yeah, maybe just propose 13 and get yays or nays.
Okay.
Mike,
I'm sorry, Hillary.
could I make a comment on that? I
Sure.
think it might be appropriate or helpful just to think a little bit about the elected versus appointed members. The proposal that I put in front of the Finance Committee and that's in the packet is 3 at-large members and 1 elected. And I think we would certainly want, if we were going to have 5 at-large members, we would certainly want at least 2 of them to be elected. And I'm seeing head shaking, so from Brooke. But yeah, I mean, the election was an important part of it. We had 5 at-large members, and all of them elected, passing. So if that's why I wanted to bring it up, because if it's going to present another hurdle, I just wanted to raise it.
So, I mean, we haven't had with all the good discussion we're having, we haven't really had the elected seats discussion yet. Am I incorrect about that for the rest of the commission?
You are correct.
Okay.
That will be the last budget.
Okay. So, Joe had his hand up, and then I'll go back to Brooke.
So I'm fine if we go down to 11 and then we have the three seats, but I think they should all be appointed, based on the letter I wrote to the current and the Inky. But I think if we're going to go to 5 seats, then I think that you'd want to have 3 appointed and 1 elected seat. I think if you're going to do that, I think that would be a compromise. I don't think the 2, that's for me is a non-starter. I think this is a way to kind of compromise. I do think the board should be a larger, 13 member, but I think that would be the compromise I would be giving up if that was my opinion. Thank you.
Okay. Brooke?
I'm not sure where to go here, honestly, because it sounds as though if we expand basically to 2 additional seats to 13, that Hillary is saying that it would necessitate 2 elected seats. So the decision in my head now is I would prefer to give up the extra at-large seats for 1 elected seat than to I have always had the position that we should minimize elections for access to serving in the community, and I was okay with 1, but I'm not. It would take a lot to convince me to go to 2 elected seats.
So do we want to just should we just jump to that discussion of the elected seat and everybody can get the air it out, and we might be at a decision point by then. Nat, do you want to start?
100%. Okay. We've agreeing to 2 planning board seats, folks. Let's not forget that. That's huge. I'm with Joe on that, but I've succumbed to this ridiculous idea of 2, which is whatever. That's fine. Okay. But this 2 elected at large, that's 1 step too far. 1 is complicated enough and unnecessary enough, I think, because we all know that these are seats that we're looking for people that are not running for office and standing at the dump and all that. And what we just went through with the ethics stuff, I mean, it's hard to stay on these boards now. It isn't that easy to do. Okay, having to go deal with all that. I would definitely agree to 1 elected seat with the 5 and the 1 seat that we have a specific sector for. But I would 1 elected is my maximum, because we really shouldn't be doing it. And I'll go with 1, just like going with the 2 planning board members. But boy, that's a big one for me. And I'm not alone in that.
Thank you, Nat. Christina?
I think that this board has come a really long way with the conversations of elected versus appointed, and I really appreciate you all considering 1, because I think that is in the spirit of compromise. And with that, I would really urge Hillary to, the 13 sounds kind of crazy, but there's other crazy people think that an elected's crazy. So I think that if we can we sound so close to 1 elected and 5 at large, with 1 of them being the business sector and the 2 planning boards, that I just really encourage all of us to kind of land there.
Thank you. So we can go. We're having a discussion. If anybody wants to raise their hand, or we could jump to the heart of the matter and hear from Hillary on what she thinks on 1 versus 2. John, you beat her with your hand
Yeah,
up.
thanks, Mike. I just want to make sure I've got it straight in my head, Mike, if you could just help me here. Because so it's one choice is 11 members, and 3 at large. The other is with 1 elected, and the other is 13 members, 5 at large, still 1 elected, and 4 appointed. Is that right? No, yeah, 4 appointed.
So on one elected, I'm not even sure where we're at in the conversation. So thank you for bringing it up, John. So on one elected, we're an 11 member board or 13.
Could be
That's
either,
13.
but I'm favor 13.
Okay, making little notes as we go. John, you still have your hand up here?
Oh, no, I'm good. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Hillary, do you have any comments or?
So I really appreciate how we're all talking and working on this. I've really appreciated hearing everybody talk about these issues, and I think we've come together with a lot of creative solutions. And um, the issue of the number and the election. So the Vineyard has 9 elected members. I'm not, we're not asking for 9 elected members. The commission today has 3 appointed at-large members. The following this over the past 4 years, the commission got bigger to 13 because of the desire to include additional boards. The that was it was always about how do we get more boards. And so now it seems like we're taking a decision that was driven by wanting to include the social services sector, wanting to include the chamber, wanting to include preservation, the land bank. And we've taken away one of those boards. We shrunk the planning board, but we're still stuck with this idea that it has to be a bigger commission. I really don't. Like I said, I would accept the bigger commission if depending on how it was comprised. But I don't really understand the drive for the bigger commission. I think bigger commissions are unwieldy, and they can cause some people to just disappear and not really comment very much. Everybody, I think it reduces individual, the pressure of each individual to carry their weight on the commission. So I don't like the idea of 13, and I definitely don't like the idea of 13 if it's going to dilute the voice of the electorate. I know people don't agree with me on this, but the reason why I care so much about adding elected members and the people who are supporting this initiative care so much about it is because we feel that the appointment process has not gone well, and that it's poorly served Nantucket in some instances. They feel that the appointment process is something to balance with elections. I hear you, I do agree that it's hard to run for election, but it's really important. So if we're going to up the members to 5, we would want that elected voice to be commensurately increased. But if we're going to reduce the at-large members to 3, what's in the warrant is 4, 2 and 2. And if we're going to go down to 3, we would go down to 1.
So, Dave, I'll get to you in a second, but well, I wouldn't say clear, but it sounds like you would go with possibly, not asking for your commitment right here, but you'd go possibly with 1 elected on an 11-member board, but you want 2 on 13.
Yes.
Okay. Dave?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, listen, we've come so far. I would just like to push back a little bit on Hillary, on the idea that the elected seats represent the community better than an appointed seat. I personally don't see that. I think that everyone that is on this commission represents the community in some shape or form, whether they're elected or appointed. So I, like many of my other board members, can get around to one elected seat. I really can't get to two. Um, I, I prefer 13. I could hold my nose and settle at 11. But I think that the reason we are at 13 is because what we set out to do years ago as a commission was to broaden the broaden the board, broaden the representation, have more people's ideas and thoughts represented. And I think 13-member board does that better than an 11-member board. And finally, again, I want to reiterate that everyone that would serve on this commission represents the community in some way, shape, or form. So to think that an elected position more represents the community's point of view, I don't think that that's accurate. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Liza?
Thank you. So I have been steadfastly against elected positions. I think that the only way that I could fathom supporting this in the name of compromising to try to be a team player is if we had 13 positions and had one of those be elected, which is against all of my principles, but I'm going to do that for you guys because we need to come to a conclusion together tonight about this. I think that there has definitely been an issue with our own commission appointing our own commissioners. So I completely agree with that. And I think that the legislation that we've come up with, having the county commissioners appoint the at-large members, resolves that conflict. So I feel like we can't say that the appointed positions aren't representative, because if we have a different appointing body, we have resolved that issue because we have people who are not emotionally invested in the commissioners appointing the at-large seats. So I will reluctantly support 13 members with one elected position, knowing that I do not feel like it will accurately represent the island. Thank you.
So, Liza, just to clarify, I think the sticking point is 11 members would be one appointed. You said 13 with one appointed.
I can't support 11 members with one appointed, because then you basically have one at-large seat.
Okay. Just trying to get clear of where you're at. Christina?
Everybody's been so creative, so I'm going to look to Brooke, because you've been the most creative tonight. And also to Hillary. Could there possibly be an opportunity to have the additional at large, just as we've carved one out to be business, or be the business sector? If we have one, we do 13, we have one elected, we have one kind of from the business, and then one other kind of elected that's going to make your petitioners happy to keep it at one elected, but we take one of those at large and make them someone who will make you happy, so that we can have the one elected, which is a really far stretch from where this commission was, and there's people that feel really strongly about it, and I feel that's a real big win for you. But we can go to 13, and you can have some control over one of those appointments.
Who has control over the
I don't.
Well, not control, but like identified, like just like we identified one of the at-large to be in the business sector. Can we identify another one of the at-large to be in whatever makes sense?
Can I make a suggestion?
Hold on, please, Hillary. Brooke?
Christina, I honestly don't understand specifically what constituency is are you looking to who are
I'm
you
not
looking to please in that, I guess is the question.
I'm looking for the citizens to feel like somebody that constituent that sector could be, so it doesn't have to be a second elected.
I don't know how you define that.
I'm looking to Hillary for a suggestion. I don't have one.
I'm, you guys aren't going to like what I have to say, but this suddenly shifting to the five at large, it wasn't in the realm, it wasn't in the packet. I, I've,
Yeah, but
I've never supported the 13 because part of the initiative of this reform effort is to increase accountability and to increase the effectiveness of this commission. Um, I, I don't I don't support five. I don't support four appointed members and one elected member. I support three appointed members, one of whom is elected. And you know, I think we're at loggerheads, and the best thing to do when that happens is to take a step back, think about things a little bit. So I would actually, I'm not going to make the motion, but I suggest that we adjourn and reflect on things a little bit, and come back again together. I think we've done really, really well. Um, but I just don't even know where this came from. I mean,
we,
suddenly, like the important thing is 13. I thought the important thing was to include these different people that we found a way to include. But we're not going to be diluting out the elected members. I mean,
The important part, in my opinion, was we were trying to get to a solution tonight, and I thought we were pretty close. We're bearing in on 2.5 hours. I think when meetings go over 3 hours, they're not very productive. But we're can let's just continue the discussion for a little while if that's what the commission
yeah,
wants to do.
just Mr. Chair, just want to remind everyone the five came from removing the chamber. So am I right? I mean, that is correct, right, Brooke? Okay.
Right.
I want to make sure my scratch notes are accurate. So when Hillary, when you say you don't know where it came from, that's where it came from, the five. This was a new thing. Yeah, it wasn't on the agenda because we're having a discussion with some new ideas plugged into the same old argument. And I actually think it's a great idea. That's why I said I'm not looking at five. I'm looking at four with one specific. That's how I'm seeing it. And I think that having that specific seat, having the county appointing a person to a specific seat with a definition it removes the need to have two elected. It's really making that fifth seat not really an at-large in the traditional sense. That's how I'm looking at it. I mean, it's kind of obvious that that's what's happened.
Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I agree. I think we've gotten to five, but it truly is four positions. And so that's why I think, a lot of us are elected and why we're here. But at the same time, I feel like if you added that one more elected on five to get to 13, I think that's a compromise that we're all willing to work on. I also feel like if you go down to 11, then one of the seats is already being sectioned out and being specific. And that's where I think you kind of need to go to the compromise and not have the elected seat. But Hillary's saying that there's also no accountability for either being, or there's more accountability for an elected position than, and there's not so much as a appointed. And I feel through the town and my experience and what I witnessed through both processes that they're almost even, trying to remove someone or trying to get someone on there. It's a very transparent, wide open process. I think it's really, there was, I'm not going to mention the board, but there was one person I felt really crossed the line. And in hearing that and kind of looking at what they had to do to remove someone off a board is an extremely high bar. It's like the HDC, being capricious and arbitrary. I think that freedom of speech kind of gives people a lot of latitude, but it also doesn't give a lot of people that they can vote someone in or out. I think that you would have to have so many people sign a ballot or, petition to get someone removed if they were elected. I feel if they're appointed, I feel like the select board or whatever appointing board would have just as high a bar to come up with reasons why and town council weigh in. So this is why I don't think that the accountability really is a valid argument. I think that this is the best way, and like I wrote in my letter, that we reach out to people and we have people that we would like to bring up through the ranks and on an advisory board. And I know she's saying that we have very strong duties, with Megan and Leslie's contracts. I get that, but that's also a very small portion of what we were doing. And this is why I really think it's important. If you want to have the 11, then three and all appointed. If you want to move to 13, I think, we have the one elected. That's my whole reason for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Joe. Christina?
Just looking at the comparison of the compromise into what NP&EDC, the first draft that we had, the commission had 13. I think the commission's willing to move one of the planning board down into at large and is willing to move one of the business sector, change the Chamber of Commerce to an at-large business, and is willing to add one elected. And I think that's a lot of compromise that everybody's come to. So I think that's where I struggle with why the only other option is to have it be completely the partitioners compromise, which is 11 and 2 and 1 elected. I feel like there's 3 compromises there and there's none on the other side. So I do strongly, please and beg that we're so close to find something that can work.
John? You're muted, John.
Sorry. We are so close. I guess I would just really appeal to Hillary to take this latest 13 member board, because as we've said, one is not really at large in the sense that we've always used it. It is reserved for the business area. If we have one elected, so then we're down to three other appointed members. And I would just, Hillary, please think about, are we really going to not bring these 2 articles into one because of this, one extra elected position? It just seems really, really sad if we can't, if you can't, take the wins that you've got, and there's a few of them, and let this board move on to the work that the community expect of us. And to think that this would go down to a town meeting because we can't agree on one, having one elected position instead of 2. Hillary, I'm support what you've been trying to do, but I do think that where we're at, the 15, the 13, with 5 appointed, 4 appointed, and 1 elected makes a lot of sense. So, I would ask you to really think about it before we leave here without a decision. Thank you.
Larry?
Yeah, thank you. So here's the thing. We want to come to an agreement that we can all say, including me, that this was well worked through. We all believe in it. And we can on town meeting floor with one voice, this is really the best thing. And I know you all want to vote on this tonight, and I actually think everybody should vote on this tonight. You know, what you've just proposed, which is the 5 at large with 1 elected, right? Yeah. So I think you should vote on that tonight. But I don't want to be then in a position where I cannot deliver that on town meeting floor if that's what you decide. So I know you want to nail me down and say, you know, accept this, et cetera, et cetera. But I actually do need to, I need you to vote on what you're going to agree to. And then I need to go to the petitioners and talk to them about it. So I think you should vote. I'm going to abstain from the vote. And the reason why, the thing that people are going to want to talk about, I can't control what people think. Okay, I can share my opinion and make good arguments. People are going to say this commission is currently 63% elected, and that what you guys are proposing is taking it down to 38% elected. And it's a big difference. The fact that there are, like, I know, you know, people don't value or I never said that the people aren't part of the community. Obviously, everyone is part of a community, whether they're elected or appointed. I said that the elected positions are very important to the petitioners because they feel that the appointments have been politicized and that it's gone awry in the past. So I would ask you to vote on this and allow me to take this to the group. Um, and I think you'll have more success in the long run, and we'll go further together if we do it that way.
So I don't really like that personally. Just so I haven't spoken yet at all on, I've been trying to let everybody else speak, but that's quite frustrating, to be honest, to be here. We've gotten so close, and then just to walk away and say I have to talk to my petitioners again. This board voted as a super majority to advance their article, and we're still back here at the compromise table. I'm not a fan of it, but I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say, please. Or I'm sorry, there were some hands up that I didn't notice. Christina?
Yeah.
I would just like to ask if we could consider if we, this is just a clarification, if we vote on it and ask FinCom to accept it after understanding all the compromises we've made and to take no action on Article 75, isn't that exactly what Brooke said that I mean, the difference in that is that we can't technically say that we all came together until Hillary comes back with hers answer, which is an unknown. But we still could vote on this and ask FinCom to support it and ask them to take no action on theirs, knowing how close we've come and all the compromises we made. And I think that that's a better win than walking away doing nothing.
Thank you, Christina.
Good point.
Joe?
No, Brooke had her hand first. And then
Oh, I'm sorry, Brooke.
So I think in the court of public opinion, I think we've done an excellent job of offering reasonable compromises. I'm highly disappointed because I feel like I thought it was pretty clear that this was a night to make a decision and come to an agreement, and the return to I need to go back and talk to my people situation is really upsetting to me, honestly. It feels like we're being asked to make a commitment in a compromise or discussion where the other side is again refusing to make any commitments in the room tonight, and that I will just express is really frustrating. But in the interest of moving forward, may I suggest that we vote in favor of this compromise contingent on a written letter from the petitioners of Article 75 supporting this compromise to the Finance Committee before their public hearing. And should that not happen, we will revert to our original article as an alternative. I do think even if we don't do this like contingency reverting, I do think we've come a long way. And on the floor of town meeting, I think if anyone from the other side comes out and tries to call 75, and we've we've agreed to and asked FinCom to support a very reasonable compromise. I'm not sure those people are going to get a lot of traction on the floor of town meeting, honestly, because I think we've done yeoman's work here. And I think strategically it's an error on the part of the supporters of 75 to put us in this position. Because I can explain exactly what happened on the floor of town meeting, and will do so if that group does not support this compromise. So I would say that we have two options. We just do it, and we send it to FinCom, request that their motion revise ours and do a not to adopt to 75, and we just go forward with what we've all agreed is a reasonable compromise, and just leave it at that. And I think we win in the court of public opinion, honestly, because I think we've gone really far, and I think I'm hearing from John and Christina, who've really tried to encourage us to move in the direction we've moved. And I hear from Joe and Nat that they're really resistant and reluctant on some of this. I think this is as good as it's going to get from this commission. And I think what just happened is not going to play well in the public space. So I think we're in a good position to support this compromise and send it to the Finance Committee for a revised motion of Article 74. Off my soapbox now.
Thank you, Brooke. I'm in total agreement with you. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brooke, I'm going to steal his soapbox. No, I really support what you just said. I think that that's truly what this whole board feels. Is we've come here, everyone's on Zoom. I can't believe that her petitioners aren't joining us. This is a really important piece, and if they're not in the queue of this meeting, I think that that's really disappointing. They don't, to me, that means that they don't take this seriously. And we've had multiple meetings. I mean, I can't even lost, what are we, 7 or 8 meetings with the petitioner over the years. I think that that's just really disappointing that they're not here. I wish that they were all here. And Hillary said, hey, I'm going to jump out of Zoom. I'm going to create a whole new Zoom really link to all my petitioners, and give me 5 minutes. I'll come back and have them weigh in. I mean, because if they were following along in our discussions, as everyone has been saying, it's really important, that we've, like Brooke said, we've done a yeoman's effort bringing everything together and compromising. And John and Christina, I want to thank you as well, because you had voted, you're one of the 3 voters against this, and you really worked hard to kind of bring us all together. And I think that's really important. But I just feel, and as I said in the beginning of the meeting, that this is the last ditch effort. We really had to get this done today. And I think that's really important. So to wait. And so now I agree with Brooke that we hold this. And if there's a letter that agrees to this, then that's great. If not, then we go back with our article and we just move forward. I think that would be the wisest thing to do. I agree. I think public opinion is going to realize that we've come this far, and no one is on the petitioner side is taking this seriously. And, here we are. I can't even tell you what's going on in my life right now, but I do not want to be here for other reasons. But it is important to get this thing done. But I think that this is something we need to do now and get it done now. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Dave?
Can I borrow that soapbox for a sec? Listen, I am incredibly proud of the work we've all done here tonight. I think it really shows that the process can work when we all sit down and we're even-minded about this. I'm outraged that we're being held hostage by a minority position here. I think it's wrong in every way. We have moved farther than the petitioners have. And I 100% support what Brooke has put forward. I think we should vote this through with the caveat that without a vote of support from the petitioners, that we revert to our original proposal. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dave. So, Hillary, I'll recognize you, but I think we're probably going to be looking for a motion and a vote. But I just want to make sure everybody has said their piece as we're creeping up on 8 o'clock. Hillary?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm also proud of this group. I'm proud to be a part of this group and this discussion today. And I think I'm sorry that everyone had to say those things at the end because obviously I said, please vote on this. The reason why the petitioners aren't here, to be clear, is that many of them came on the 15th and they were not allowed to speak. They were told there would be no public comment. We did have a separate Zoom room set up so that we could go and, talk about it. We came with other things. We came with the expectation of the discussion. So please do not say that people don't care because they're not here. People care a great deal. And what I'm trying to do is to deliver a compromise that everyone can feel that they had a chance to be part of. So I think the discussion that we had was great. The opportunity for you all to vote on it, that you've landed on something you feel proud of, is a huge positive. So I think we should take this as a win and not, look for things to feel negative about, because I will take this to the petitioners and I will come back with you. I'm not in control of how people are going to feel or think. I know this group doesn't really believe that, but I'm asking you to please trust me. Trust that I will act in good faith and I will make good decisions with everyone's interest in mind, and I'll come back to you.
Brooke?
I would make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we vote to approve the compromise as outlined. And I just want to make sure that staff is
Yeah.
clear on everything if they have any questions about
Yeah.
it before we make the motion. If I may outline what I think we're proposing in my motion, which is a commission of 13 members that is to include 2 planning board members, 5 at-large members, one of which is designated as a member of the business community, one of whom is elected, and one of the remaining 4 is elected, a representative appointed by the county commissioners that is a member of the county commissioners, a representative of the Conservation Commission, appointed by the Concom, either a member of the Concom or their designee to represent their perspective, a representative of the Affordable Housing Trust or their designee to represent the interests of the housing community, a representative of the land bank that must be a member of the land bank, a representative of the Historical Commission appointed by the Historical Commission, with the first alternative going to members of the HDC and then to the public should no Historical Commission or HDC members wish to serve. A representative appointed by the Council for Human Services that may be a member of the council or a designee to represent their interests. That all members must be legal residents of Nantucket, as defined as being a registered voter or on the street list. Is that correct, Meg?
Yeah.
Okay. That there are no term limits. And I believe that is it. And we didn't even talk about the language part of it, but let's get to this part.
I'll second that motion.
And I'm going to complete my motion. Should we not have a letter of support from the proponents of Article 75 for this compromise, we will request that the Finance Board support our original article as it was originally written, Article 74.
Second.
Okay, staff, do you have what you want on the language on the motion? Leslie, Megan?
On the membership, yes, but as Brooke mentioned, we need to visit the language next after this is done.
Let's get this done and then we can talk about the language.
Okay, so we have a motion. Brooke's motion, seconded by Dave.
Can I ask a question about something Brooke said?
Go ahead.
Brooke, did you say 5 at-large members, one of whom is a member of the one of whom is appointed and a member of the business committee, one of whom is elected, and one of the remaining four is elected? Is
No,
that what
I was repeating myself. So it is five
Okay.
members, a business community member who is unelected, right, is appointed. And then so that leaves four more at-large seats, one of which is elected.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so my attendance list is probably a little out of order on the screen, but on Brooke's motion, seconded by Dave. Brooke, you have your hand up. Are we good?
No,
Okay.
I'm good. I'm good.
Christina,
Aye.
Brooke,
Aye.
John,
You're
You're
muted,
muted.
John.
Still muted.
Aye.
Thank you. Liza,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Abby is not here. Bert is not here. I vote aye. And Hillary?
I'm going to abstain.
So that carries with Hillary abstained. Okay. Brooke, you're muted.
So I realized halfway through my motion that we hadn't agreed on the language. And I know that I believe Julie Fitzgerald had put in sort of a merging compromise of the language that I feel like it was acceptable to everybody. So I would, unless there's further discussion, I would say, what version of that language exists somewhere that I can identify it in my motion?
I believe it exists in both compromises as of the proposed merger of changes in both Hillary's and John's.
Okay.
Megan, I'm not connected to the town network. Can you bring something up on the screen just so everybody knows?
Make sure we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I believe those are the exact same ones.
Yeah, they are. I just cut and pasted them.
Literally.
Yeah.
Any discussion on those?
Are people still reviewing them? Or, well, they're in your packet, but Brooke, you muted. Or you're reading, your lips are
So
moving.
I would, Meg, did you put that up, or were we able to put that up or no? Yeah. Yeah, so I would move that we adopt the language, proposed merger of changes as outlined in the compromise document from the petitioner, from Rayport compromise proposal document that was in our packet.
I would second that.
I'm sorry, who was the second? I didn't.
Hillary.
Is there any discussion on the language?
Nope.
Okay, so was that Brooke, I'm sorry, did you make a motion?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I made the motion to adopt it.
And I'm
from
sorry,
that
and
document.
Hillary
Yep.
seconded it.
Yep.
Okay.
It's late, Mike. It's okay.
Yeah, it's
I
getting
second.
to that witching hour. So, on the language motion, Christina,
Aye.
Brooke,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Hillary,
Aye.
and the chair votes in the affirmative. So that carries unanimously with Abby and Bert missing.
How about a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair?
Wow, it's 7:59. We're going to make it right under the window. Is there a
Judy, I
is there
hate
a
to break
second?
it to you all, but we still have the articles of planning concern.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna ask, can we make a motion to defer that to the next meeting?
Usually you all
We could
make your,
probably go through those.
you usually make your recommendation to the FinCom around this time before they close all their hearings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which some of these I think they may have motions on. I'm not totally sure, but.
Okay.
I
So
just
sounds like we should run through that.
quickly, before we get there, I just
Dave?
want to thank the vice chair and chair for piloting us through this meeting. I think you guys did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you, Brooke. And thank you, Abby, for her part before she had to drop off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was directed to her as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Brooke played a big role here tonight too.
Brooke
So
did
appreciate that.
everyone.
Huge.
Amazing. Yep.
Good team effort.
Okay. So on the warrant articles of regional planning concern, I assume Leslie or Megan, you want to run through them, or how should we handle those?
Yeah, I'll run through them and hopefully we can do this quickly. The first one, Article 11, that's an appropriation for Our Island Home. You supported that last year. I think the number on that right now is around like 125 million, from what I just read. But the Capital Program Committee, I believe, gave it a negative recommendation. So anyway, there's that one. Article 12, the school athletic facilities improvements. We thought this may be of interest because, you know, our region of one town has one, you know, school or one public school. And so this, you know, does have an impact on, you know, families and school age children. The next one, Article 13. Oh, sorry, that one is not on your list. Article 15, the Somerset sewer needs area. And this is in the Hummock Pond watershed. Seems like that would be something of interest to the commission, but that also received a negative recommendation from the Capital Program Committee.
Wow.
See what next. Next one, Article 32. Renewal of the Board of Health Septic System Betterment Loan Program. I mean, this provides funding to homeowners who need to upgrade their septic systems, which obviously is an improvement for surface water quality, groundwater quality. Article 35. Stop signs at Surfside Road and Myacomet Road. I think this was something Mike Burns had talked about, and we're already sort of working on something for that.
Can I ask a question on that, Leslie?
Yeah.
I live on Surfside Drive. Would that should I not vote on that?
I think it's probably fine. I mean, it's a road widely used by the public.
Okay.
Brooke.
That's a citizen's petition, correct?
Gotta be.
You're right, it is a citizen's petition. Correct.
That's
Next,
not the first time.
the next one, Article 42, that's the flood hazard overlay district. You all usually don't weigh in on zoning, but this article is really important that it pass. Megan and Leah Hill have been working with a consultant. We've been working really closely with FEMA and the Department of Conservation and Recreation to perfect this language as required by FEMA. And this definitely needs support. Article 65 is the next one. So I'm flipping through my warrant. Adoption of Mass General Law to, provide affordable housing property tax exemptions. Housing is something that is definitely of regional concern, and encouraging options for attainable and affordable housing is important. Article 66, This is an amendment of declaration of trust for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. This comes behind the Seasonal Communities Act, and it would increase attainable housing to up to 250% of area median income. It's currently classified as 240. So this would align their trust documents with current provisions in state law. Article 69, Council for Human Services membership. You all may recall that you, as the Regional Planning Agency, are supposed to appoint one of your members to this commission. This would remove that it has to be one of you, and you would just make an appointment. So sort of like your sector base. Yep. Article 71. General bylaw, stormwater management. I mean, this is really complicated and technical, but the gist would be to create what's called a stormwater utility to administer rules and regulations governing stormwater for actually all properties, I think. So, right now, if you build your single family house, you can figure it out. This would put some regulations in place to help protect the groundwater and surface water. Next one, Article 74. I'm still looking pages. Oh, that's our article.
The one we just spent 3 hours on.
Yeah. Can you tell that my brain is fried from that? Okay, so 74 and 75, we know where we are on those.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. So I guess is there any discussion from the commission on any particular article that they want to discuss? I mean, there's a lot there. Liza? You're muted, Liza.
I just wanted to quickly add, since I'm on the Capital Committee and we've spoken about our island home and the Somerset's needs area at length, I just wanted to give a little bit more color so that you could see where we were coming from. We were presented with $262 million of funding requests for this town meeting. So we had a lot of requests to manage. And we had just created our new ranking system. And I think that a lot of us theoretically support our island home, but fiscally it doesn't make a lot of sense. So we had to kind of do the fiscally responsible thing and not give it a positive motion. But we think that it should go before the voters to decide if it's something that they want to do. And then for the Somerset's needs area, again, because of the ranking system, because it doesn't impact a large amount of the island, it's just that area, which was one of the criteria that we now rank things on. And because of all of the requests we had, it had ranked below the standard deviation of the mean, which is like how we figure out what we're going to recommend positively. And I think that we weren't positive when we ranked it if it was going to be on the town meeting warrant. So we did not, we all agree that that needs to be done, but we weren't sure if it was the most pressing thing to deal with this year. So that's just where the capital program committee came in.
Thank you, Liza. That was super helpful. Christina?
I guess a point of clarification, are we being asked to vote on these as a whole, as identified with the recommendations by staff? Is that kind of the goal tonight so that it can go to FinCom?
Leslie or Megan?
In the past, you have voted article by article.
Yeah.
Well, I feel uncomfortable knowing that we are gone past our time and there's really not much time to discuss this. And I feel that this is, it puts me in a difficult position because I would like to hear how people feel about each one and have a valid conversation about it. And I just don't feel that I'm going to be able to do that tonight.
And If I could just clarify for some of you who haven't been on the commission as long, this is just a practice that you all always review the articles to see if there are any of regional concern. So it's not by any means a requirement that you have to provide a recommendation to the finance committee. It's just your tradition.
But if you vote yes, or if I as an individual vote yes, that would be putting NP and EDC's positive recommendation on all of these. Is that correct?
Yeah, or one by one, however you want to do it. I just wanted to make it clear that you all don't have to make recommendations.
Okay, thank you.
And we don't get on the warrant
No.
unless it's a rare occasion. We have a couple times, but okay.
So Brooke, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So there's a couple things that I want to say. Some of these are, to me, are like no-brainers, right? The Declaration of Trust for Affordable Housing Trust is just changing the AMI that we can allocate funds to up to 250% to align with the seasonal communities at 250%. So that feels like an easy one. There's no, I can't think of a compelling reason not to do it. The other one about changing the Council for Human Services appointing, that's really important because we haven't been able, and I think that is directly in our wheelhouse. So I would recommend that we support that as well tonight. These feel like easy ones to me. The other ones are much more complex, honestly. And I agree with Christina that we should do nothing rather than do something too quickly. So if I may make a motion that we support 66 and 69, because they are one supports the housing plan and makes it consistent, and the other is really about solving the problem that CRC has had. And it's actually Contract Review Committee, I believe, not Council for Human Services, technically, but that we should definitely support that so that we can appoint someone else if none of us are available.
And are we on your motion, are we willing to group 74 and 75 into that based on how much we discussed tonight, or you'd rather just stay away from that?
Well, we already did 74 in our motion, so I think we should ignore those and then well, we could vote. Let's start with voting to support 66 and 69 as the simple ones, and we'll get those out of the way because I'd like our voice to be heard on those.
Okay, so the motion by Brooke is to vote 66 and 69 in our capacity as NP&EDC. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, who was that second? Was it
Christina?
Okay. Motion made by Brooke and seconded by Christine. On the motion, Christina?
Aye.
Brooke?
Aye.
John Kitchener?
Aye.
Liza?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
No Abby, no Bert. Hillary?
Aye.
And Mike votes in the affirmative. So that carries with Abby and Bert absent, or whatever the proper term is. Megan?
I would just ask you all to support Article 42 as well. Normally, the Planning Commission doesn't weigh in on zoning articles, but Leslie and I felt that this one was important for you to ask your support. It really just puts our local bylaw in line with FEMA regulations so that property owners can maintain their flood insurance. It's really technical in nature. It looks really lengthy and daunting and overwhelming, but it doesn't add any sort of new allowances or anything like that. It just brings us into compliance with FEMA and again goes back to those property insurance regulations so that all of the homeowners with flood insurance can continue to maintain flood insurance. So as a community, we really need to move this article forward so that people don't lose that important coverage.
I'd make a motion to give that a positive recommendation.
Second.
Motion made by Dave, seconded by Joe.
Yes.
Thank you. On the motion, Christina?
Aye.
Brooke?
Sorry, aye.
John?
Aye.
Liza?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Hillary,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. That carries unanimously with Abby and Bert not voting. Question, what would be our plan to get back onto the other articles? I mean, I think there's certainly going to be some discussion on our island home, which is really going to be in control of town meeting, but the high school facility.
So
Dave? Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry.
I'm sorry, who spoke up?
Leslie, I think Leslie was going to just
I
go on my question.
let Leslie have the floor, please.
well, if not tonight, then the finance committee will have already made their motions by the time you meet again.
What I was going to say is that this is more symbolic than it is meaningful. These motions aren't printed in the warrant. Anyone that really wants to see them is going to have to dig for them. And we may all support some of these and not support others. But in the end, I really don't think it matters on town meeting floor or at FinCom, to be honest. And staff, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Leslie or Megan?
I think it's always been more of a formality than anything else.
Okay, so Brooke?
I would say in the absence of time to really discuss them in earnest, that our best course of action is no action on the remaining articles. So.
I would second that if that's a motion.
Is that a motion? I'm sorry.
If we need one, I don't think we need one. We just don't do anything.
It doesn't mean take no action. She means
it just means we just leave them. We don't comment.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Okay, do we Leslie and Megan, do we have what we have enough to get a motion to adjourn at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
Second? Anybody?
Second. Christina.
Motion made by Brooke and seconded by Christina. On the motion to adjourn, Christina?
Aye.
Brooke?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Liza?
Aye.
Nat?
aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Joe?
Great job, Mr. Chair. Aye.
Thank you.
Second that.
Thank
Hillary?
you, Mike. Aye.
Did I miss anybody?
Thank you, staff.
Myself, I guess. And
Everyone.
Staff,
Thanks,
chair,
guys.
vice chair.
Thank
Brooke,
you, everyone.
everyone.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you.